Hello, welcome to Abracadabra Code. Well, I can't say it. Abracadabra Code Part 3. And today you can see I'm joined by a very special guest, JCK. Hello.
Hello. Hello. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
Nice to meet you. What's your name?
I can't remember.
I don't know. It keeps ringing us all the time and all.
Wait, excuse me. I haven't even introduced you two yet. Anyway,
Sorry.
Lucy are here. And we've got some other guests waiting to come on to ask some questions, because since we put Abracadabra Code 1 and 2 out, we've had about 30,000 views.
Wowsies.
Which is mental.
Wow.
I'm just going to give you a quick feedback from a few people. The vast majority of the audience, not at all. They've connected with it. And they're the same as me. There seems to be they're identifying elements of truth that resonate with them in it, which is amazing. And there's just been tons and tons of questions, question after question after question after question. So I thought, well, let's just put it out and get a few people on so they can ask their questions. I think we've got 13 waiting at the moment. So I just wanted to do a bit of a housekeeping. Anybody watching this, there are 2 PDFs that go with this chat, new PDFs that we just put out. One is the definitive guide to homemade quinine, which Lucy has put together, which is about 27 pages long, and it basically tells you everything you need to know from start to finish, all the wrongs and rights and all the stuff that they've learned by making it themselves over the last couple of months, do's and don'ts, and feedback from other people and testimonials and all sorts of. So that's there. There's also the links below in the description. There's also another one which is called the Fuck It Letter, which is how to basically teaches you how to expel anything from your life, which I first learned about from these guys about a month ago, which has been really powerful and useful. That's been put into a PDF format. These PDFs are charged for, but I'm going to have a little bit of a chat about money, because this is not about making loads of money. This is about me thinking that Juicy and Lucy deserve something back for the efforts they put in to share this information. If you genuinely cannot afford any of the PDFs below, just email me and I'll send it to you for free. So it's a trust thing, right? So it's not about the money. So one guy did email me a couple of weeks ago. So, oh, Mark Attwood was just in it for the money, blah, blah, blah. And because he was so rude, I couldn't be asked telling him that he could have got it for free if he was nice. Other people have written to me and said, I can't afford it. So I just sent it to them. So, that's that covered. JC, thanks for coming. It's 7 in the morning in Australia for you.
Yeah.
Saturday night for us guys.
That's all right. I was up since 6.
Well, I did, when I told you these guys were coming on, and I thought, I bet she wants to come on. And you did. You actually said,
yeah,
I want to be on it.
Please come on.
I wish you did it.
So what's your take on this, JC? You've obviously watched these guys and we've had a few changes.
It's really strange, because if you just let it sit and resonate with the information, it absorbs into you, and there's a part of you that just knows all of it is true. This is how our universe is created, and that somehow, they're tapping into it. So a lot of people kind of got stuck on the accent of Juicy and Lucy, but if you just let the information absorb and watch it a couple of times over, then you'll actually understand it and you'll actually, take it on board. So I think it's true for sure. And there's so much information that they've given that, I've had to watch it a few times though. So, there's so much information that they've given that is, I don't know, you feel like you've got the secrets to the universe with it. Don't you think?
I do, yeah. And look what arrived yesterday, guys.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yes.
And I turned to it, got to Abracadabra. That was the first thing I got to. Ooh, I can't wait. It's such a good book. I know.
It is. And it's small stories, so you don't get bored.
How did I miss this book my whole life?
I know.
It's amazing. It is amazing.
And what
edition is amazing.
And what you also need is like a good Oxford dictionary, because it would give you a noun. And then what you need is one of my poems on a t-shirt, you see, like this.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
That's not for sale, by the way. This is just
now he's lost all that weight. He has to write smaller.
Is that like super poet, hey? It's like Superman, super bard.
Yeah. I have a poem.
Like super bard. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, before we get into it, I just wanted this. I don't know if you guys have all seen the latest Trump the latest video from Donald Trump about his plan?
Yeah, well, we've seen the live one with his lawyers.
Well, do you want to see this one?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
We said yes.
The sting.
You've probably never even seen the sting, have you?
No.
Yeah.
I tell you what, on about thing. Did you see that? You know, see Gregory Hallett doing the stone?
The Stone of Destiny.
Stone of Destiny. How weird is that?
Yeah, no, I have not seen that. Have you, JC?
Yeah, he posted a video 2 or 3 days ago.
2 or 3 days ago.
And it's got him digging this field up somewhere in Scotland.
Somewhere in Scotland.
And he's found where the Stone of Destiny is. And the Stone of Destiny is what we were going on about last time. The coronation chair.
Oh wow.
That's
nuts, isn't it?
What was the thing that you said was it the pillow of something?
It's
Jacob's pillow.
Jacob's pillow.
Jacob's pillow. Listen to this. One of the people that's going to join us in a minute rang me yesterday and said there's a place that's literally an hour from me where a guy built these pyramids and it swears that Jacob's pillow is there, and it's literally an hour from me.
Apparently, if I remember right, he was saying there was 3 originally. There was three. One in Ireland, one in Scotland, and there's one somewhere else. I'm sure he said there was 3. There's 3 different. I'm sure I might be wrong, but I'm sure he said there was 3. Definitely one in Ireland and definitely one in Scotland.
And he's digging the one up in Scotland.
And he's dug the one in. Well, that's where he's been for God knows how long. He's been in Scotland.
That's why he's been quiet.
He's like time team. Yeah. He's up there like digging and trenching everywhere.
It did look like time.
It did. He's there, isn't he? He's like covered in mud and God knows what. But he found it, and it's the right quartz. It's the right weight, I think, and it's also the right measurements and sizes.
Does this mean he's legit?
Well, yeah. What?
Other things have lined up as well.
Guys, Lucy, listen. The way that Zoom works is that you have to leave a space for somebody to cut in. Because there's a slight delay.
Sorry.
Otherwise, let me tell you this. Otherwise, one of JCK's fans watching this, they'll go mental at us for talking.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right?
There's no chance of that.
No,
I've not spoken to anybody for weeks. So.
Sorry, go on. JC, what were you saying?
I just said, does that mean he's legit? Gregory Hallett.
He seems to think so because he's got the stone. He knew where the stone was.
And other things line up as well, don't they?
Yeah.
The thing is, though, I've got Excalibur upstairs. I'm not making any claims.
What's that?
Nor me. Who wants that?
Excalibur upstairs. I'm not making any claims.
That's true. The gold sword, eh?
I think I've seen that film.
Yeah, I think I have.
Listen, I'll tell you my opinion on it is that we don't need kings and queens.
No,
that's right.
I'm sick of kings and queens. I want them gone.
No, but I like the point he's making. The point he's mostly been making is the fact that the Queen's not legit.
Mm.
No, and I think he's a very nice guy, and he's got incredible information. But I don't.
He's got a wicked sense of humour.
Yeah. That says.
And the way he decodes stuff, it reminds me of you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, decoding. Yeah.
I've got your name then.
Yeah. No, when we did the banking, I decoded the whole lot. I could actually see the codes, and I literally took all their bank sort of like numbers, decoded them, and made them into phone numbers, and used to ring them up. Oh, where's that?
Mm.
Yeah.
And the way Greg Hallett decodes stuff is pretty safe.
That's what caught my attention about, because I was like, wow, that's what I used to do.
So what if he's just a very clever man, and but he's there to present this idea about, to make people question the whole idea of royalty, etc., and people in power. I think that's what it would stand for, because even if he was the next in line for the throne, I mean, do we need that?
No, don't need a throne anymore, do
definitely
we?
Not.
No,
but like you say, he's bringing it to people's attention that the Queen is not who she really is.
Well, didn't Charlie Ward say?
It's amazing.
Didn't Charlie Ward say she's abdicating next year?
Oh, she's dead.
Yeah, of course she is.
She's already gone.
Dead. I mean, it's like.
As Donald Trump would say, she's gone. She's gone.
I was saying the other day at work, they're going about, Biden, blah, blah, blah. I went, Yeah, well, where's everybody else? Where's the Clintons? Where's all the Obama's? You know what I mean? Where's all this? It's just him.
Where's Hollywood?
Yeah, where's Hollywood? Just him, his
it's
wife.
in California somewhere, don't you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's just him, his wife, and she wears a mask all the time. Do you know why? So you don't have to shave every day.
Right, guys, listen. Jason, we've got JC here. JC, have you got anything in particular you want to talk about relating to this? Before we start bringing guests in to see if they can get any sense out of these two.
Okay, well, I wanted to, so I hope that Juicy and Lucy can explain how we can put this in our lives to sort of utilize it. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm hoping to get out of this. And I hope that people ask questions so that we can learn how to activate it in our own lives. Does that make sense?
Well, the way that this was given to me about 17 years ago, and I unpicked that in 4 hours.
Okay.
Without knowing anything about numerology, I didn't know anything about nothing else. I didn't know a lot. It was the whole lot was given to me, and I just wrote it down and then did it. And then after that, that was like a skeleton key, which got me into everywhere and everything.
Okay.
So basically, once I accepted that, it took me to all the right places where I had to go. The banking system, the courts, the lawyers. We took them to the cleaners. We taught ourselves law, basically, and then just literally took them to the cleaners.
Yeah, we wiped the floor with them.
Wiped the floor
and took the piss out of them every single step of the way. Majorly. I mean, we absolutely crucified them.
I mean, we've actually met. I mean, we didn't know who they were at the time, but when we went to the court and we just creamed them in court, we actually must have met the New World Order or where they were. They was there standing right with us, right by our side to us, and they just did not know what to do with us. And then when we came out there, we got followed home by about 10 or 15 of them. And basically
they stood out like a sore thumb.
It looked like a 1960s sort of CIA sort of film, all standing around.
Yeah, they were all like wearing really old-fashioned looking suits and
Men in Black. They were like Men in Black.
Yeah,
old-fashioned looking suits.
Old-fashioned.
And they 40s, stood out from everybody else. And there must have been about 15 of them surrounding us, really, weren't they?
Yeah, and
sounds just like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit like that.
And we're still here to tell the tale. So this thing must protect you somehow, all of us.
And plus, we've only found out recently who we were actually up against. We were up against Rothschilds and Mossad.
Is that all? That's all. Yeah. And apparently,
it's a good job of doing that, isn't it?
And apparently, they won the fraud through the through Barclays Bank and everything else. We took them
the Treasury.
I've got a really good story about taking down the banks as well in my own life, but I'm aware of the fact that we've got these people waiting in the room. So I'm gonna, we'll start letting them in, okay?
Right?
Okay.
I don't know how this is going to go, but here we go.
No, I'm not clear.
It's got to keep it muted.
Here we go.
Hello. Oh, someone's got their audio on.
Yeah, no, they've all got their audio on. I'm going to turn them off in a second.
Okay.
Professionals to the end, aren't we?
And everybody joining in the room, just mute your microphones for the time being, if that's okay.
I recognise some people.
Do you?
Yes, I do. Their names and...
Just let them all in now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the room. Please mute your microphones while we get all this set up. A few more coming in. Hello, everybody.
Oh.
Here we go. This is the first time I've done this. So
Anders.
Our faces get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah. How many are you letting in, Mark?
So if everybody could just mute their microphones, please, and then that'd be great. And then what I'll do is I'll just, if you really want to speak, just wave, and whoever waves, I will then unmute, and we can start the conversation. We've already had a bit of a chat. You're all very welcome. It's amazing to have all you here. Firstly, I'm just checking that everybody's in. Right, who wants to go first? I'm looking at top right. Who's that? Let's have a look. PB. Let's find PB. Okay. PB. Ask to unmute. Oh, sorry. Oh, you can. Of course, you can do it yourself, can't you?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello. How are you?
Hi. Actually, My name is Patty. And I wanted to say hello to you. I've been following you since I heard about you from JP. And I wanted to say, JP, I was on your live Q&A this morning.
Yes.
It was fantastic. I am here in the UK. So, Mark, you are such an inspiration, as you are, JP. And I thank God for all of you every day.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you.
Oh,
that's really nice. Thank you very much.
That's good.
So we have
I'll
Juicy.
let somebody else speak now.
Oh no, we have Juicy and Lucy here. Do you want to ask them a question?
hi.
Hi.
Not at the moment.
Oh, okay.
I'll let somebody else speak.
Okay, you
Don't be nervous.
yourself.
We're all nervous in
Yeah.
this.
Right, next one. Hands up. Who waved the most? First to the hand. Come on, wave.
This reminds me of Tiz was.
Oh, Liz Davis.
I know Liz.
I know Liz. Liz is the one who told me about the pillow. Right, Liz.
Oh, okay.
Unmute yourself, Liz.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you guys.
You too.
So I have a question, yes, I have a whole heap of questions, but I'll kind of, so I have a load of questions about abracadabra, but I also have this other question that maybe I should ask, because you might answer the other abracadabra questions later. Okay, so I've been getting this download, I guess, about the numbers 369, and I know that's not unusual, but I feel there's some sort of a portal there, or gateway, or some way of using it in conjunction maybe with the abracadabra. Is this making any sense? Yes, it's the Tesla sequence. So basically it's about the number 3, and it's the mirror image, then becomes the number 8. And then you've got the number 6 and the number 9 in there. And the 6 and 9 are also mirror images. And it continues on. You can keep getting smaller and smaller to infinity, and obviously the number 8 is the symbol for infinity. So there's some sort of a gateway there, and I don't know if that fits in with your abracadabra, because I haven't been able to make sense of that.
It does indeed. Yeah, the actual 8, I think it's on one of the PDF files, and the 8's the lock, link, and loop. So the cross in the middle is the lock.
Yes.
And then the top is the loop, and then you got the link at the bottom.
Yes.
It's a lock, link, and loop, so it's a sequence. Now, that's the same format as Mark would know as a joke. So the lock is you draw somebody in, then you've got the link, which is the story, and then the loop takes you back in and catches you out. So if you've heard the joke before, you understand it. If you don't, if you've never heard the joke before, it will catch you out as a joke. It's a lock, link, and loop. So the lock is the cross, which is you're locking somebody into something. Okay. The link is the story, and then the loop then goes back into the story to make the whole sequence. Same as a joke. But it can also be used for wrong as well, because when we did the banking, we used that format, and we invented a phrase which we used through the courts, and it was basically premeditated fabrication with intent. Basically a lie. Yeah. So we invented that word, and we put it into the lock, link, and loop, into the format. So premeditation is the lock in the middle, the cross. Then you got the link is the fabrication, is what we're seeing here, what we're hearing now. And then obviously you've got the intent of what the intent is about, of the prefabrication and the at the beginning. So the whole thing just circles. So basically what we're stuck in this lock at the minute, of using the figure 8 against us, the lock, link, and loop. So it's premeditated fabrication with intent. So basically you've got prefabricated the lock, fabrication is this story, and the intent takes you back into the prefabrication at the beginning. So it just locks you back in. And it's basically, it's a lie. It can be used for truth.
How do you get out of the lie? So how do you get out of the lie? How do you get out of that?
By understanding how
we're stuck in a big lie. We're stuck in a big lie now in the world.
Yeah,
knowledge is power.
It's playing out, right?
Yeah, it's playing out. But we used this against the banks and the powers that be about 17 years ago, and they didn't know what to do with this because we was using this format against them. And
how were you using it?
Just the knowledge of how something works. It's
yeah.
So it's
knowledge
like,
is power, and if you know how it works,
and it works in threes.
It stops it from affecting you, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
and it works in threes, like you say. It's the 3, the 6, and the 9s, and then there's another one as well, and that's like if you isolate somebody, you dominate something, and then you recreate it. So you isolate, dominate, recreate.
Lock, link,
and loop. So basically, that's the same as what they're using now: isolating, dominating, and recreating. Yeah. It's the same format, but it goes into the figure of 8. Now, the figure of 8, if you look in the Abracadabra clock, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6. There's 6 figure of 8s in that clock.
Yes.
Can I just butt in? Everybody that accepts Liz Nagel, mute yourself, please, because Liz is on at the moment. That'd be great.
And that's why people say everything always comes in 3s, which is usually, we take that as bad. You know, the first thing is wrong, second thing, and then the third thing's a whopper. And it's just understanding how the lock, link, and thing is. You'll probably know, Mark, about jokes. It's a lock, link, and loop.
I don't know anything about jokes.
Yes, you do. It's the same format as a joke. It catches you out. If you've never heard the joke before, it will catch you out. And if you've heard the joke before, then basically you just have a fake laugh and just thinking blah, blah, blah. You just let people go on. So it's the same sort of thing. You know, it can be used for serious, but if you understand how it works, you can let somebody run through their joke and you just
go. Do you do a joke?
Go on then.
Right. So this is a Tommy Cooper joke. Most people here probably won't know who Tommy Cooper is, but
yeah,
I do. And he used to do this joke, which I'm going to relate to Trump because this was about horse racing, right? So he said, "I bet this horse 20-3 came in 7:15."
And there you go.
Loaded. Is that it?
There you go. That's a lock, link, and loop.
That's weird as well because he was a magician.
Well, yeah, really bad one, but really good one.
Yeah. The AI is talking through me.
There you go. And that's the same format. That is a joke, but lock, link, and loop. You tell the story, you lead people in, you link it round, and then it links back into the beginning again, and bang, it's done. Yeah. And it's the same format, and that's why I think it always comes in 3s, because the figure of 8 is in 3s. And I've got a feeling somebody we sent this out a long time ago, and people were like blah 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 blah, and then somebody says actually that figure of 8 is in the Vatican, all over the Vatican, and they hold it sort of like the 8 side on, not that way. They hold it that way round, side on, and then that stops the sequence and locks it.
That's interesting because somebody emailed me the other day with a picture of the Vatican. I sent it to you outside the Vatican, and it was the Abracadabra clock.
Yeah.
In the ground, in the floor.
In the ground.
And the statues around the building also line up with it as well.
Yeah, they also line up with it. I don't know 100% everything on that clock. There's figures on there. I know about the 30 line, which is March, which is like JC knows about March, and we've said about March before. But the 30 line that runs all the way through. And
that's got 3, 6, and 9 in it.
That's got 3, 6, and 9 all the way through it.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Also,
now, the 30 line is the 180 degrees line. It's your start point.
1 and 8 is 9.
Yeah, and then when you go up to your 90, that's your right angle. So basically, you got 30 degrees, and then from the 180, you got 30 degrees of separation, which gives you your 12.
Right.
And that gives you 12. So off the 180 line, that gives you 30 degrees of separation, which gives you your clock of 12.
No, I'm lost. I'm sorry. I get completely lost.
About degrees. They're talking about
degrees.
The different wedges.
If you draw a clock with what is it? A
protractor. If you draw a clock with a protractor,
it's each point is 30 degrees separating from each point.
I get that.
And then on the calendar, you've got 42 at 12 o'clock and at 6 o'clock. And then if you divide each one of those V's or half an X, and you've got all the 7s in there, it'll be 180, it gives you 42.
Okay,
42.
Sorry?
42.
42.
That's Douglas Adams again.
What, sorry?
That's Douglas Adams again.
42 is 6, yeah?
Yeah, you got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you've got 6 7s of 42.
They missed the joke.
That's it. Your first one.
A joke. It's not really a joke. Douglas Adams said the meaning of life was 42.
42.
And to the galaxy.
He didn't he? Remember you saying that before?
So he knew something.
Definitely, he tapped into it.
Well, but they say that 42 isn't that something to do with code, computer code, and that if you put 42 in, it comes up as anything you want it to be.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And funnily enough, Douglas Adams, this is an aside, Douglas Adams, as well as Rick Mayall, the English comedian, were both close friends with Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry is and knew all about the Ring in the BBC, and they both died very young.
I miss Rick.
I miss Rick as well.
Do you know him?
I think a lot of the Americans here probably don't know.
No, but last night on Facebook, I don't know, Lucy, I don't know if you saw on Facebook last night, I put up a post saying, let's put up our favorite sketches. And then hundreds of people put up comedy sketches. And I was just sat here watching them all, having a great time. Because laughter is absolutely the key.
It is.
Definitely.
It is. And that's what links all of us that are all similar. That's the only thing that links us 100% is our humour.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. I've not noticed any humour from you.
No, not at all.
No, it's funny. I've not either.
Even the dog's gone to sleep. He's bored. He's heard it all before.
Anyway, Liz, are you getting any comfort from these answers?
Well, not really.
No.
Just confirmation. But I wanted to know what you use this for. Like, is it time travel? Is it travel between dimensions or timelines?
It was given to me about 17 years ago. I got told to go and buy a book. Don't know why. I never bought a book in my life. Sorry, Mark. And basically, it was the Phrase and Fable.
Yeah.
And it was also I bought the Phrase and Fable, and I also bought a good Oxford dictionary. Didn't know why at the time. So then when you actually open the book up, it would give you sort of like a little snippet of history, believe it or not. And then it would give you a noun. And then when you go into the Oxford Dictionary and look at the noun, it would tell you the other little bit of the story. It's like a fragmented story. It would tell you the other bit of the story, and it links it together. But the actual code to unpick that, I knew nothing about numerology or anything else at that time. And literally the whole lot was given to me, and I just downloaded it, unpicked it, and put it into that clock. Okay. I've had this for 17 years, and we've done a lot with it. A lot of stuff with it.
It kind of helps open your mind to help see all the bullshit, really.
Yeah, we've run against the banks. We didn't know who they were at the time. We didn't know there's deep state. We've run against all of them. The corporate. Absolutely everything, and they didn't know what to do with this.
Yeah, it wasn't just the banks, it was the land registry, it was the law society, it was the financial ombudsman, it was the courts, it was Westminster, it was right up to Westminster.
Yeah, top.
And
Mark, who wrote Phrase and Fable?
How can I use it?
I think I know what Liz is saying.
How can you use it?
That sounds good. Give us a practical example.
Yeah. Practical example is, if you just let this format sink in, it will guide you. That's what it did with us. This from the day of we used to party and enjoy yourself, and then all of a sudden this was given to us, and then from that particular day, it was now learn from it, and it's guided us all the way through to where we are now.
You just have to go with the flow.
Yeah,
really.
If you just absorb it. And then just see how it sort of like takes you on a direction. It's almost like it's almost like inside that is billions of permutations. And I've always said I've been a disaster in my own success, because I've just been stuck in this permutation loop of having to do something all the time, and it's because of that clock. Before that clock was just normal me and you, After that clock, our whole life changed to what we've done and where we've been. And it's almost like a skeleton key. It always gets you into the right places to do whatever you've got to do. I mean, I have been into the biggest sort of establishments in this country and worked on these buildings, and I have absolutely warlocked them down to fuck. So
I mean, everybody listening to this, he has told me this before, and I'm glad we brought that up, because there's a. Are we allowed to mention the name of the cathedral?
They're gonna mute there.
Yeah, everybody mute unless you're me, Liz, or Jason.
I've been at the cathedral where you were.
Can we mention that cathedral's name?
I won't mention the big one, because that's huge.
Yeah, but why can't we mention it?
I'll tell you what we can mention.
No, why don't you just answer the question? Why can't I mention that cathedral?
Because the powers that be could be.
It wasn't a cathedral. It's where you. It's
where
where
you. I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one where I met.
Where you used to dive bomb it.
No. Oh, that place. No, I'm talking about the cathedral where I met the devil.
Yeah. Oh no, you can talk about Salisbury. Yeah, no problem at all. Right. Yeah.
Salisbury Cathedral is really interesting to me because I met the devil there, and it's also a place very close to where Ted Heath lived.
Yeah.
Who was the most demon-possessed man I ever met. And you did a load of work in there. So I think Liz, what he's trying to say is that once you've absorbed the information, it takes you on a path through this matrix where you end up doing the things that you're supposed to do. Is that right? Is that good?
I would definitely say, absorb it, don't question it, but then see how your life changes over the next 4 weeks.
What am I absorbing?
Analyze where you go and who you meet and
how it changes your life.
Well, it's changed my life. It's changed my life enormously.
Yeah, it does. Once you have,
I'm manifesting things that are off the charts right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
you can't think of it with logic.
No, that's the thing. You can't think of it with logic. Remember, I said you have to change the format of how you think.
Yeah.
So maybe if I explain that to her, that might help her.
Does it? I think what it is Liz and everyone. It adapts to your needs. It's not a clear-cut equation. So you sort of have to absorb. Because I saw the Abracadabra clock, I think, in a meditation I did, but it was 3D and it was spinning and doing all sorts of things.
It does spin.
And I got and it was like one of those things that I don't know if you've ever seen them where it's like what are they called? A helix thing. It spins, all the different parts of it were spinning at different rates. And it gave me so much information in that particular meditation. And I was time traveling and I was seeing things in portals and stuff like that. So, and it was just appeared before me. So I think just having that image in with you does something as well. Yeah. Because it adapts to, and it unlocks things. So I don't think it's like an equation that you work out and then you do step 1, step 2, step 3. You don't do it like that, and I think that's where people are getting stuck. So you've got to use your right brain. Logic. You've got to use your right brain, like with everything. You've got to use your right brain, let it absorb and let it unlock. And you yourself, because we're made up of calculations and numerological stuff, and our whole existence is created through these numbers, etc. That's why it absorbs into us very easily, because it's part of our DNA. It's part of everything that we are, right? So it makes up who we are. And this is where all of that symbology works, and why they've corrupted numbers. The dark occult have corrupted a lot of numbers because they know that this is the key for us to work out our divinity and our eternal souls and all of that sort of stuff. So that's why you can't look at it as, I think there's many people going, okay, so how do I use it? Is it step 1, step 2, step 3? And that's not how it works. So you've just got to sort of absorb it, have the image there, and just the image itself is kind of magical. Because I know when you guys sent me that image, it kind of, to me, it looked, somebody said in the chat, spinning Merkaba. To me, it kind of was like that, but not quite. It's circular. So when you gave me that image, Juicy and Lucy, everything sped up in that day. Like it felt, I was on fire and I was sort of manifesting things very quickly.
That's why I'm about full
on a mission.
That's why people say
like my mission was like
You do. You just literally like 400 mile an hour straight away because you don't actually have to think about anything. It just does it for you.
No.
But it does help people. And I mentioned this to Mark a few weeks ago. The mindset you have to change. So, like in a crazy world, you have to have crazy thoughts. So basically, the way that I deal with it is for that swear words.
Yes.
So swear words are swear words. Why are the swear words? It's because they've been put there as a key. So all swear words aren't really swear words, but behind them swear words, there's other words hiding behind them swear words format. So by putting your primary swear words in your brain first, which then add the original words that we're not allowed to talk about or think about, they're your primal thought patterns, and then basically you put that into an absolute crazy format in your head. Now, if you're using an absolute crazy format in your head, you're using more permutations to work something out.
So is it like it breaks things? It just shatters
breaks things. So if we try to work, if we try to work something out, it's like the law. I think me and Mark spoke about this. The laws of sort of like to make something work, you have to have a greater thought pattern in permutations than somebody else to control that situation.
Okay, so you need to. You mean your mind needs to be expanded, and you need to be thinking on multi-levels. In space,
say in space or in where we are, if you're more creative in your thought pattern than somebody else, that thought pattern would create itself in front of you. Simple as that. So by having an absolute crazy thought pattern, and then you're actually thinking all different things, so you can split words different ways, you think about things all differently, blah blah blah.
Put comedy into it.
Comedy into it. Put this and put humour.
Take the piss out of it.
Blah blah blah.
It's called it's lateral thinking. That's what it's called. It's called lateral thinking.
Yeah, it is.
It's the amount of effort you put into it,
but without putting effort in.
Yeah. So what you're talking about, guys, is it's called lateral thinking. Edward de Bono called it lateral thinking. So what it is it's you're seeing the multi-layers, and this is why a lot of people are not seeing what's happening in the world, because they only view things very literally. And you're saying that we need to sort of have these multiple layers, and we're able to think of things in a crazy way. So we're able to see the joke behind it. We're able to see the symbolism. We're able to see, and all of that sort of comes together. And that's part of using the right brain, because I know I'll just tell you, as a professional artist and designer, so when we were at university studying this, we had to come up with concepts to promote something or what have you, and in order to do that, you need to have this kind of brain that sees symbolism, sees color, sees all these different layers to things in order to communicate on multi-levels. So that's essentially what you're saying, is that we need to start training our brain in multiple levels, and some people just don't think like that. But this goes back to that whole right brain thing. So this is where it's unlocking it.
This is why I brought my kids up to swear and tell jokes.
To break.
My son will love
exactly.
Because it shatters that.
I know somebody just said they feel sick when they hear swearing. Was that B Mary?
That's a program.
Okay, so B Mary, just mute me, because I'm gonna fucking swear. It makes me feel good.
And you see, and the word "fuck it" is a break word. So
love it.
And fuck it is a break word. So like if you're in a relationship or something, blah blah, when you actually mean fuck it, you can actually move on.
Listen, I've got a story about this, right? So there's a guy I know who created a thing called Fuck It Therapy, and I saw him at a Hay House talk in London. I became quite good friends with him. He runs Fuck It Therapies in Italy on an island. He's from London, England, and he's written books on this, right? And I did a talk in London, because I've got a background in marketing, and I was doing a talk with this woman she'd been speaking for about 3 hours and had the whole audience, and I thought, I'm going to have to change the energy. So if you actually go to YouTube and type in Mark Attwood Fuck It Therapy, you'll find a video of me doing this Fuck It Therapy when I got everybody to stand up, shake, and then shout "fuck it" at the top of their heads.
Yeah.
And you can see that on YouTube. You can go and watch it. But what was interesting is that when they all sat down, it was brilliant because the energy of the room completely changed. And I had them in the palm of my hand and it was wonderful. But there was one person in the room who literally stood up and ran out of the room. She couldn't cope with what I'd done. And I couldn't understand. I had no idea why, right? And she worked for the government.
Wow.
She was the only one in the room that worked for the government. And it's a bit like my brother. I have a brother called Andrew, who I love dearly, but he's worked for the council in Birmingham for 30 years.
He's been pauperised.
And also, unfortunately, he went to a boarding school when we were kids, so I only saw him at weekends. So he's institutionalized at school, institutionalized with the government. My brother defriended me on Facebook 5 years ago.
Yay!
Sounds like my family.
I sent him a thing. Go, why have you defriended me? You're my brother. He said, "Yeah, because I don't understand a word. I don't understand a word you're saying."
Well, this is the thing that I used to explain to people. It's like, you know, as you're going through life, there's certain people that come into your life and they know how to push your buttons and they know how to wind you up. And then all of a sudden you get something on and you thought, you know what, you go down that road again and I'm going to let you have it. You never see that person ever again.
Well, that's what's happening at the moment.
That's what's happened to me. Yeah,
just disappearing, aren't they? During this lockdown, it's amazing. But
it's like magic.
Someone's got to drive this boat, and we've got like 25 people. In it. So I just want to make sure, Liz, is this? Are you getting answers here, Liz?
Yeah, I am. I basically, so I need to get the phrase and fable and the Oxford Dictionary.
Yes.
That's what I need.
So who's the author of phrase and fable?
Also,
you'll have so much fun with it. You really will.
You've got to go into the right brain. Are you good with that, Liz?
Yeah, I can be. So do you think I should actually kind of draw the clock out myself so I get familiar with it?
Well, that will help you because
that's
the
fuck it letter.
Do you know what I'm going to do?
Liz, if you write the fuck it letter, you'll feel better.
Straight away. Okay. Gospel. Read the write-up how it works.
I promise you.
I've read the book. I've read the fuck it.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Liz.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the abracadabra, right? I've got a room next door, big room with a nice carpet, a drum kit, keyboards, everything. I'm going to get a nice blanket, right? I'm going to wrap myself up in the blanket. I'm going to put Abracadabra Code 1 and 2 on, and then I'm going to eat about 10 magic mushrooms.
Fucking hell.
Where do you live again, Mark? What time are we coming back?
I'm going to say, we have got a boat, you know. We can soon get round there.
Come over.
Okay.
But Liz, what we are going to do when we get 5 minutes, because we work full time, we're going to actually break down the clock into each little segment and draw each little bit stage by stage from start to finish, how you do it, and how you put it together. Right. It's going to take us a while to do it all because obviously each bit's got to be done individually.
I've just got to say something. I've just realised I've got to say something. Is anybody watching this from the Irish Children Protection Services, Tulsa? I was just joking about.
You are so funny. I love you.
Who's that?
Oh, it's me. It's Julie.
Hang on. Who's unmuted?
Come on, JC, crack the whip.
I'm the whip cracker.
You're the professional. We're just the amateurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really good at the Zoom stuff. This is the first time I've ever.
Yeah. So somebody's unmuted, and you've got to mute yourself until you introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. I'll unmute. Hang on.
No, you got to mute yourself.
How did I do that, darling?
There's a
bottom left.
Bottom left. It says mute. I don't know who was
to the left bottom.
And I was just going to say something about the fuck it thing, right? Because somebody in the chat.
Please. This is a no swearing show, please.
Okay, sorry.
Shit.
Somebody was saying that they were having trouble with the swear words in the chat, and I said, well, it's just a word. Just think of it like it rhymes with truck. And so just like a bum is just two legs stuck together. Just think of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
What bum have you got?
Yeah, you find them in bins outside McDonald's.
Switch it.
We're only on the first question.
If this helps people, this is how I found what fuck it actually really meant, right?
Yeah.
Many years ago, we used to do acid and stuff. So anyway, your mum, well,
what he means is, if anybody's from the Child Protection Agency, what he means is he used to work with car batteries, yeah?
That's the ones.
Yeah.
Acid. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it opens your energies, it opens everything else, blah, blah. So anyway, we had some daffodils in the house, and basically these daffodils were still in bud. Yeah. So I sat there with this daffodil in my hand for 8 hours trying to paint a picture to this daffodil why it should open, painting the perfect day. I could see the energy going to it. I was trying to, because all daffodils open on the day when it's a nice day. Yeah, so basically, a daffodil's not going to waste its time. It's going to pick a nice day. They're all open on a nice day, so all the bugs and flies around for germination and everything else. So I was painting this picture, this daffodil, and you could see the bud wanting to open.
It was bulging.
It was bulging and bulging. I spent 8 hours with that daffodil. And anyway, in the end, I went, fuck it, I've had enough. I went, fuck it, bang, the fucking thing opened up. It went pop, pop, right? So I was like, oh my God, it's the fuck it, right? So basically, I painted a perfect picture. I've been telling this thing what to do and why. It's never been told to do anything before on the perfect picture, the perfect day. But when I went, fuck it, it broke my bond, but it was left with a memory of why it should open. And it opened. So then I went into the rest of them where all the rest of these daffodils were in the vase, did exactly the same thing and opened them all.
Wow.
And they all
so
went
that's
pop,
like
pop,
releasing,
pop, pop, pop.
you're releasing the pressure to
the link.
Yeah. But
you're breaking the link. You're breaking that connection with the fuck it, and it's left with the perfect day, the perfect picture, and it just reacts to it, and it opened. Well, I was like, wow, now that's what it actually does. And that's
how powerful it is.
That's how powerful it is.
Listen, there's a couple of things I've got to say here. Firstly, you've got everybody watching this should understand that we're coming from the perspective that we create the universe, which we do, right? That's the perspective. The second thing I was going to say is that I've forgotten. JC wanted to say something while I'm trying to remember. Go on, JC.
Oh, it just reminds me of the law of attraction. Like when you stop people, so people are like intently going, I want this, I want this, I want this, and fuck it sort of takes that away, that want away.
That's what I was going to say about, we both had, JC and I have both had therapy this week from a guy called David Ian Rogers, who is a shamanic Hayoki,
yeah.
Which means mirror, right?
Yeah.
And the way he works is exactly the same way, isn't it? It does exactly the same thing, and it's incredible.
He breaks the bond. Yeah, breaks the bond to the program.
Yeah,
breaks the program.
But all this information was given to me to do it and learn it and learn it and learn it and learn it. And this all came from once I'd actually done this clock. So once I'd done this clock, all this sort of stuff came over. It's like you always struggle. Is your eye been better the last few weeks? I was telling you how to swap you.
So left eye and right eye.
Left eye and right eye over. So because you're dominantly right-handed because you're left-eyed. So if you swap your eye over to dominantly right-eyed, you're left-handed. So you swap the eye over. Remember you said last time your eye was sore and not working. I swapped you over.
Mark. Are you talking about Mark?
Yeah.
Was your eye sore?
I don't remember what I said 2 weeks ago.
That's because you're taking too much mushrooms.
I don't remember. Yeah, with my eggs and bacon. Oh, by the way, as you were telling that story about the daffodil, have you ever seen With Nail and I, the movie?
No.
Oh, why haven't we seen decent movies that?
Well, we have, but I forget them. We watch films about 8 times, thinking, "Have we seen this before?" And I get to there and go, "Yeah, yeah."
I was just reminded of a line by Richard Griffiths in that film where he's talking about daffodils. He says, "Daffodils are just prostitutes for the bees." Well, I did John Gilbert voice.
But I do remember you saying last time we spoke. It was after we finished, and you said you got a problem. Your eyes one of your eyes not balanced properly, and I balanced it out.
Is that what happened? Because I mean, just so everybody knows, after the last chat, we ended up chatting for another 2 hours afterwards, which we couldn't record.
As you do.
All right, listen. Okay, driving the car now. Liz.
Can I just ask one more thing?
Of course.
Sorry. Juicy, you mentioned before that we created all of this. That's what I believe, and Mark just said it. We create our own reality, but we created all of the shadow and the cabal and everything else?
Yeah, the whole lot. The whole thing, the way I see it was, we've created a negative universe to use all the negative up to actually move into a positive universe.
Yeah, I have a theory about that as well, because 360 is the full circle, and that equals, what do we say? It's the total sum of all knowledge. So, and if the 3 is one side, and the mirror image of that is 8, and that creates the circle, then that's 360. We need both sides. It's yin and yang. We need both sides to give us the sum of all knowledge.
That's it. And that's why you got your 30 line going through the middle, which is your 180. And then you've got your 42 on the top, which is your six sevens on your V's going through, and you've got the reverse underneath as well. So then that gives you 72. 72 is full size, because the way we've seen it was, you've got like, it's compression. Everybody's been suffering from compression. So I don't know if you've noticed it. The last I rang Mark about it, about the compression coming off, because we came out from the 24.
Yeah, I noticed one day that everybody seemed a little bit taller and thinner. It's kind of
that was about
out now, but there was kind of 1 week.
4 weeks ago. 4 or 5 weeks ago.
I had quite a few emails from people. I mean, I was a bit nervous about saying that because I said to you that I felt tall.
I had
this moment where I was like, I feel taller. Why do I feel taller? And I got about 3 emails from people saying they felt the same thing.
Yeah, and that was about 5. I rang you, didn't I? And I said, because we went into the matrix, and we've seen what was happening, and the compression came off, and we're like, wow, because we're sort of like involved with dropping the old 24s off.
Yeah, but let me just tell you something. I'm still pissed off with you because everything's relative, and I'm still 7 foot 5 foot 7.75.
Well, I did say to you, didn't I, about these Met beds?
If I'd have grown a bit and everything else stayed small, I'd have been very happy.
Well, these Met beds, if they work in feet and inches, me and you were well sorted.
Yeah, by the way, that's a penis joke for anybody that
and the other,
I thought I'd better explain that this week.
All right. The other thing was that when the clocks went back there 2 weeks ago, was it?
Yeah.
The next few days, time seemed to go really slowly.
It did, because we was talking to Mark till whatever, but we actually went into that matrix again, and then we was involved. We've always been involved with domes and spheres. Yeah. Now, a long time ago, we had where we live. Basically, what happens is we go by using this. We go into it, and we was involved with taking an old universe down, or a dome down, and inside that dome is pyramids and balls, and the whole thing is built on pyramids and balls, and the balls spin on the top and all locked together, so the whole thing interlocks with each other. And basically, around the outside of the dome, there was rainbows. I used to call it a rainbow dome. And basically, the rainbows was just literally what hold the dome shape all the way around.
Do you have any idea of how many rainbows I've seen this week?
I know.
Yeah.
And
couple rainbows.
Have you noticed as well?
Right outside the house.
The different colours.
Right next door.
Yeah, and the different colours.
Different colours now, aren't
they? The colour of the clock that we've drawn. So the thing is, we last weekend when the hour went back, we after we finished with you, we carried on, and then we was involved with putting the dome together. And next thing you know, we've got a picture of it. We sent out a picture. There's a dome above where we live, but the rainbows were flat. Not that way round. I was thinking, you got the photo somewhere, and you can actually see where the rainbows had hit the top of the dome, and there was flat, and there was rolling around the top flat instead of going that way. There was flat, and I was like, wow. That's a different dome to what I've noticed before. We've been involved with before.
And we've actually got a photo of the beginning of the rainbow as well, haven't we?
Yeah, and you can see where
it just looks like a rainbow cloud at the top.
And you can see where it's gone flat.
Where it's going to dome.
Yeah, it went flat against the dome. And then obviously it went all the way around the dome. And then literally we went for a drive. And we thought, right, let's go and see if we can run this thing out. And we couldn't run it out. Literally, we was always in the centre of it, weren't we?
Yeah.
Always
the
in
dome literally followed us
everywhere it went. But you see, we tried to bring photos back, but literally I can take photos, and the photos, that's the only photo I've ever bought back.
Yeah,
Have you got it there? Have you got it on your computer?
Yeah, send it to you.
Well, yeah. Or you can share your screen and show it to us.
Yeah. Now,
I don't even know how you do that.
Also, when the energy is loading in, it always comes from above. So whatever is loading on top of me comes from above. Yeah. So it comes from the above, and it always rolls sort of from left to right. It goes from left through the room to the right to the room, and literally it embosses the carpet. So as the energy is punching into the carpet, it embosses it with code. It's code and sequences and figures and stuff I've never seen before. But you can actually see the emboss in the carpet where it's punching into the carpet. And literally, I've tried to take photos of it, but it just comes back as a carpet when you get back. But the dome thing is the first thing I ever bought back.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, Mark. I'll send them to you in Messenger.
Yeah, do that. All the twangers would listen to that and go, that's not proof.
No, of course it's not.
That's not proof. You're talking rubbish. Right. So,
it's like
Liz, I think you've had a good chunk of that.
I think I have. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
But we are going to draw it all up. But believe me, just absorb it, don't question it, and then see where your life is now, and then reassess your life in 4 weeks. Just absorbing it, see if it's changed.
Yeah, keep a journal.
Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes you don't know you're poorly until you feel better.
And then when you feel better, you don't remember being poorly.
You don't remember being poorly, no.
It's like my bad back. I've forgotten how bad it was, and it's all good now.
How is everybody's necks and backs anyway?
It's a lot better.
A lot better.
Yeah,
yours
I'm
a lot
good.
better.
Yeah.
Yes,
that
was from not last weekend, the weekend before.
Yeah,
after the clocks went back. Yeah, I found out where it was all hidden and took it all back.
Well, we feel better now, so thanks.
Yeah, that was that's when we did the clocks back. I went in and found out where it was all hidden and took it all back. And
maybe it was from growing taller.
Well, you will do.
Maybe
it was literally all bits of code and fragment, of DNA and our DNA and alien DNA and energy, and it was going right from the head, top of the head, all the way through, down the spine and out the bottom. And literally, I spent, well, I don't know how long was in there, but I spent hours taking it all back and bringing it all back.
Wow.
And that's when I said to Mark, how's your back? He says, a lot better. I went, yeah, he's got your thingy back. And let's face it, if you're getting something back, it's in your back.
New question.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's next?
Thank you.
Hands up.
Thank you.
Mark, I've sent you those rainbow photos on Messenger.
I'll have a look. See if anybody else wants to talk.
Okay.
I'll ask a question.
Put your hand up if you want to talk. Anybody?
We've done them.
You've confused them. Everyone's discombobulated.
Scared the bejesus out of them, haven't we, Mark?
Oh, Mel does. Mel wants to talk. Mel.
Yeah, I just want to say hello because I'm a big friend of Dave Rogers. I've known him for quite some time through the football world in England.
Oh, really? Hello.
Yeah, he was telling me about that. He was telling me about that yesterday.
And I've also, because I do a lot of work, not similar but not the same as Dave. But also I've known Charlie Ward since I've been on a Zoom call with Charlie from beginning in April, and because a mutual friend of ours who's also interviewed Charlie said you need to come on the same Zoom call with Charlie. So we did, but that was back in April, and then obviously I've kept in touch with him ever since, which has led to obviously you, Mark, and JC, and also obviously Dave Rogers. And it was speaking to Dave earlier today, because he's just done obviously an interview with Charlie, which mentioned about you, Mark. So that's why I'm here. So I'm just catching up with everybody. Big hello. I've been following all this stuff for 20, 30 years. I've been all around the world, and I'm on the same page basically. So
Mel, everything sort of comes full circle, is what you're saying. So everything really comes full circle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
360.
Yeah. And basically,
so tell us what you do. Tell us what you do.
Me, I'm a kind of a performance specialist. I kind of, but I work in lots of spheres. I've just written a book called The 3 E's, which is how to
I used to have 3 E's a night.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
there you go.
Now for Betsy spaghetti joke, all right?
And
or blockbusters.
Blockbusters, go pee, please, Bob.
but yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. With juicy and loose and everything. I mean, I've got to get up to speed with this stuff actually. But I was doing stuff with people in California many years ago, and this went all the way back to how things first started, which were channeled, and so there's a lot of stuff going on, which is all making sense, and it all makes sense. And what we're going through now is absolutely wonderful time. Wonderful time.
It is a wonderful time, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
and we all chose to come. That's the point. We all chose to be here.
No,
which
I wish I'd picked Mark's job. It's a lot easier than mine. I shit right out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I must admit, this is one thing I've not heard of though, or redoing the balance. The native Indians to America, I've not heard anything about giving them back what they've lost. That's the only thing I've actually picked up on.
Yeah, Trump's completely missed that, hasn't he?
I don't know. There's been some meetings with
Asda
with a lot of the leaders there. I know that Trump has been there, but I've seen stuff with Pence with a lot of and they've come out and fully backed Trump. All of the native leaders.
That's wicked.
That's amazing.
Because it's one thing I've not heard about. And it's the only thing I've always said.
Mainstream won't talk about it. Mainstream won't talk about that.
No, even on normal chat though, I've never heard about sort of like the old native Indians and giving them their land back and giving them their rights back. And it's one thing that's always sort of bugged me of like all these things going on, but like they got annihilated, massacred. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's even one of their days. Is it Thanksgiving Day? That's something to do with the Great Massacre.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, because we saw them joking about
it. We saw some American comedians joking about that, and there was going about it's like they used to call it the Great Massacre Day, and
it is a great massacre if you're a turkey.
Well, yeah, but it all stemmed from when they took the native Indians out. Yeah. I'm sure I might be wrong, but I'm sure I heard somebody talking about it.
Yeah, because they were cracking a joke about it. It just wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny. It was on something like
Graham Norton.
And there was cracking a joke about it, and I thought that ain't funny, mate.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, Graham Norton
really below the belt.
Chat show. All he has on
Say that again. Say that again, Mark.
The Graham Norton's show is basically an Illuminati chat show. It's just
definitely. I mean, the thing is, with through the Juice group, we were actually friends with the rabbit skins. The rabbit skins, called the rabbit skins.
Yeah, Native Americans.
Native Americans through the Juice group. Yeah, the rabbit skins.
And he's added all of his family to it as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he was sharing lotions and potions they have.
Yeah, skunk. It was on about
skunk medicine.
It was on a skunk medicine. I thought that's no problem. I can soon get that sorted out. Then I realised it was a proper skunk. So I mean, I was like,
how did we get on this topic?
Maybe not.
maybe give that one a miss.
Yeah, we're in the perfume.
Juicy. How did we get onto this topic?
I don't know. We just go with the flow.
Talking to Juicy and Lucy is a bit like herding cats when it's just me and them. Now it's all of us.
Yeah.
It's a wonder anyone else can get a word in.
I've been quite good tonight, though. I have been quite good.
You are behaving yourself. I'm very impressed. It's because there's other people around. Mel, is that? Thanks for coming. And
yeah, thanks for letting us know about the native Indians, because it's one thing that I've not heard Trump or anybody talk about. Obviously, he can't, but I've not heard anybody else talk about righting the wrongs that went on over there, which is like massive.
Yeah, they've definitely come out and I've seen it definitely come out and backed him. But obviously, you wouldn't see that on the MSM.
No,
because they have to just carry on with the propaganda.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't they just?
Yeah. I don't know if anybody knows about this. I'm going to put this out there. I was talking about it at work the other day. All these people that have isolated themselves from germs and everything else, wash their hands. We haven't done any of that. And I was saying to them today, it's like us going to the Amazon. Yeah, we'd probably die within a week with the infections that we'd get. But the local people, to their environment, are sort of like immune to it. But if we took a common cold to them, we'd take them out. So all these people now have isolated themselves for the last 8 months from their general environment.
From their own environment.
Yeah, if they all of a sudden took all their masks and stuff off, there's a good chance their environment is toxic and we'll probably take them out. And I don't know how long it would take to actually re-germinate itself back into your environment, to how much they've taken.
Re-immune yourself.
Re-immune yourself. I don't know if anybody has got any thoughts on that.
It's interesting you bring up catching a cold, right? Because that's what this whole year is about. Coronavirus is just a cold.
Yeah.
And that plot has been used in H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds and in Independence Day.
Yeah.
Exactly the same storyline.
Yeah, put a virus in it and take them out.
Well, yeah, it's not a virus. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean. But like, you know what I mean. It's the same. It's the same thing. But I thought I'd just mention it. How long it would take an average person now to actually sort of like fit into their environment, because they've been bleaching the house, they've been bleaching the hands, they haven't had any human contact, been wearing masks, they've dropped the immune system, they've done all this. So now their environment, if they just went back to normal, their environment is toxic.
Well, that's what
it's
they're
like
saying.
Them going to the jungle.
Be a second wave. Yeah. Well, they're saying that that's like going to be the second wave. Apparently, that's what they hoped would happen.
Yeah, and then you had a nurse getting
and the masks on, and the masks would decrease your immunity. So that's why things like that, the quinine and all of that, are really important. That we share as much of that as possible.
Wow,
talk about other things like alkalizing your body, and that's why we're trying to put all this out there so that people can take charge of their health.
Yeah, I was talking
we're jumping around on a lot of topics, so sorry about
we do.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, I was talking to a client of mine, and she works in a care home, and she has to wear a mask all the time, and I was just saying, you do realise what you're doing, and she's, if I don't, I'm sacked. But she's getting mouth ulcers and everything else. And I said, well,
I wore it for 30 minutes. My mother forced me to, and I immediately, my tonsil swelled up.
Yeah. And I said to her,
like, what is this?
I said to her, well, I said, the best thing you can do is literally have lemons at night time, alkalize yourself, and it will counteract the acid that's building up in the daytime. And she never knew about that. And I said, no, because the government aren't actually telling. We're 8 months in now, and the government have still not said what to have, to boost the immune system, or all these out of work chefs that could be doing different things on TV, how to boost the immune system, and that hasn't been done either. And I keep telling people that as a go-to place, and they still don't get it.
Yeah.
It's scary,
Can I jump to a new thing? So someone in the chat, B Mary, said it'd be interesting to better understand how the Abracadabra clock connects with Q.
That's very interesting, because the bottom of the clock is open. You haven't got a prefix on the bottom of the clock. If you drew a line through that both sides, it's reverse of a Q.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
It is, yes.
It is, yeah. It's the reverse of it.
And so Q is connected to quantum possibilities, I'm assuming. But I think Charlie Freak has a book coming out about how all the letters of the alphabet symbolize something, and numbers, etc. And so the Q, I think they said, what did they say? They said it to me the other day in the live chat. So the Q is like, I'm going to just make this up as I say it, because I can't remember what they said.
We've been winging it for years.
So it's like a portal, and then the leg out is like your passage out of that. Does that sound something?
Yeah, I'll definitely go with that. Yeah,
it's like a path into a new sort of system, or a new direction.
Because
maybe I'm just making that up.
One thing I did notice with this clock is the numerology comes first. That's your primary. And then them letters fit to your numerology. So that word,
so 17.
The abracadabra has always been with that clock, because when you look at how it calculates, them symbols of them letters symbolize that clock. So that word has always been with that clock forever.
Okay.
Because it's the only word that actually fits into that clock, whichever way you go. It all comes into like sort of your V is 22 and V is 5 and blah blah blah. And literally, it's the only word that actually fits with that clock. They've always been together. But the numerology came first, then the symbols came, and they put the symbols around it, which is English.
And the symbols have actually been created in the sphere of that clock.
Yeah.
They actually give the points of reference for every single symbol.
Yeah.
They?
You know, I'm going to throw a little, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. The alphabet that we have actually originates from the Phoenicians, which is my ancestors, I'll tell you that. So it's actually the original language that we use today would be from the Canaanite. Phoenicians were also known as the Canaanites, and the Canaanites were actually the people who ruled the world. Okay, so as in the deep state. So the Canaanites, yeah, they were the left brain, as Charlie Freak says. The Canaanites were, or they became, we also call them the Phoenicians, but they became the Venetians. They were the 13 Venetian families, but they did create the alphabet. So my ancestors created the alphabets and the numbers. So the Arabic numbers, or the numbers that you see today, are actually. So this is why all of that.
They go back to Sanskrit.
Well, I don't know. Well, they're the Canaanites of the Bible, so in the Old Testament. So you would have been. It's in that region near Lebanon, in the Lebanon, right? So there's old ancient artifacts of early alphabets, tablets with all of these stuff. But that's what we're using. So you're saying it's English. It's English now, but it's been adapted.
No, he believes it was English in the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, you believe it was English?
Yeah, I can trace that. I can trace that right the way back 400,000 years.
Well, I wonder what came first.
Yeah,
chicken or the egg?
English.
Yes.
The chicken and the egg are in bed, right?
English.
The chicken turns to the egg.
You said this joke before, Mark.
No, see, the lot Lincoln Luke just artificial laugh it off. See how that works? And that's how it protects you. Yeah, that goes right the way back to the Sanskrit. The what are they called? Anunnaki. That goes right the way back to that. So
aren't we the Anunnaki?
Yeah.
Well, that's what he's saying. Or everybody on this call is one of the creators, most likely.
Yes.
Right? And when you said your ancestors, I was going to say, well, it was probably actually you.
Yes, they've always been us. Thing is, because we can talk about it. Yeah, it must be
because we created the bad and we created the bad and the good, and we're back here to redress the balance, right?
Jason's just brought something very interesting up, because I don't think you've said that out loud online before, have you?
No, I haven't. Wow, no, I haven't. I think I might have said it in like private live Q&As, but
Yeah, do you want to explain it then?
Okay, so this is my theory.
You're under pressure now, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I believe those of us who are not twangers.
Yeah.
Our soul, like I say, our the core of who we originally are before we came into these avatars, which are these human bodies. We are actually like what the ancients would have called the Anunnaki. Okay, so what you would see in the Sumerian tablets carved in there would be who we are. So we created this reality, this matrix, this creation as a game, as a simulation for us to come into, etc. So we would have been part of that thousands of years ago. But again, time doesn't exist, so it doesn't matter. We came in here, right? And because it's fucking up. We came back in and we're like, shit, we've got to fix this. So that's what we're doing here and now. We're going, right. That guy didn't work. We're going to fix that. That guy. And we're putting clues for ourselves so that we can remember. And this is why you're remembering all of this, Juicy and Lucy.
Yeah.
Because you were part of the engineers that created this. All right. And maybe I was part of some other aspect of it. And I have to. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but then I have another theory, because in the meditation that I did, where I saw the abracadabra thing spinning, Mark was in that vision, and he was pointing at this blue thing in the sky, and he said to me, "We're from there." And I said, "What's that? Is that a star?" And he said, "No, it's a portal. We're from there."
I think that was a couple of days after I'd had a vision of this incredible blue in a meditation, and it was just so blue, it was unbelievable.
And I said that, and it appeared, and I said, and you said, you said, "I saw that," and I said, "Yeah, well, that you showed it to me in my meditation," and you said, "We're both from there." And then all of a sudden had this massive download going, "Oh my God, so we're actually from a race that is benign and benevolent, that created the Anunnaki, who created this."
Well, the Anunnaki just in the sky. So the Anunnaki.
No. But I mean the Anunnaki, as in the carved ones that look in the Sumerian tablets. That was one form we came into. That's not our original form.
Well,
so that whole.
Have you seen my past life regression when I said I was a?
Yes, we look like that. The blue people.
Blue people. I don't know where
that's really that's really weird. You say blue.
That could be. That could be like, I hate the words Arcturian or something like that, but I think they're above what. So we came in, and the humans, the Twangers, saw us as these gods, right? But that's not our original form. Our original form, I think, is the blue people. That's what I got.
That's really weird, because you see blue energy,
yeah. I see blue energy.
I see the energy working, and it's got its own format. It thinks for itself. So once it starts to load, it's got a format. It actually does. It's not just energy dropping. It swishes. It does this. It corkscrews in. It punches in. It's got a format, and it's running. And I can actually see it working like pendulums. It actually all takes forms on, all works. But many years ago, when we started going into this, we had a dragon plant. You know the dragon plants in the house plant.
Yeah.
This thing started getting interactive and started moving, and literally, you could see like the energy inside it, and literally all the grass, all started.
No, it was a ponytail palm.
No, this was the dragon tree festival, then it was a ponytail palm. And it actually all started interacting, and then each branch touched each other, and it started, and then also it connected to the sky, and it pulled a blue in from the sky, and it spelt on the floor, jar, J-A. on the floor. I don't know if that means to
yes, in Scandinavian, I think.
Sorry?
Yes. In German.
One of those Scandinavian languages.
German. Mark.
J-A. and it was capitals as well. J, and it was an A, and it spelled it in blue underneath the plant on the actual floor. But this time it was all new to me, and I actually shit it. I was like, Jesus Christ, what the hell's going on there? Because you do.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to a ponytail palm. And we had a ponytail palm we grew from a seed. So basically, we had it in the house, and literally it was probably about 5 inches tall. Anyway, we had it on the table, and literally I seen the sun rays come in like gold, and it locked up as the sun was coming up one morning. The sun rays came in, locked onto the ponytail palm, and it actually started interacting and moving, and it grew, I would say, 12 inches in 2 days.
Was that you on the med bed?
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. And it grew 12 inches in height. Literally, we watched it grow 12 inches on the table in 2 days.
So you're talking about house plants. You're talking about house plants.
House plants, ponytail.
Some people might not have heard. Okay, all right.
And then what it did was it went in
Swedish. I knew that. You were wrong.
Yeah, and what it did was it went into a cycle. Yeah, and it actually formed an apple. So the plant actually folded itself in and formed a perfect apple and started rotating all the way around as it was growing.
A bit like a merry-go-round.
Yeah, like a merry-go-round. Yeah.
Apples. That's really interesting, because apples are used in magic. And we were talking about apples the other day, Jason. Do you remember?
Yes.
An apple cut in half.
Cutting it in half, yeah. And there's a star inside.
Yeah. But it actually formed an apple.
We're jumping around.
Oh yeah. And it formed an apple, and we watched it actually rotate, and as it formed, it is an apple shape, and it just grew and grew and grew and grew, and we're like, wow. And even somebody came into our house and went, that plant was only this big 2 days ago, now it's up here. I went, yeah, no, we just watched it grow. Really bizarre. But this was the start of everything being shown to us once we'd cracked the abracadabra, once that was given to us, all this sort of stuff then came after that.
So are you saying that if we can crack the code or feel as though we've unlocked the Abracadabra code, we can do things like make things grow? Can we levitate things? Can we, because when I see myself in my original form, I'm manifesting things in my hand. Like, I don't look like a human, but I'm like making things. I remember manifesting like flowers between my hands and butterflies, and you can make things levitate and all that kinetic energy. So you're saying that this can be the key to all of those natural abilities that we have?
Yeah, it's like a skeleton key, and it's just how it works and how it unlocks.
It just unlocks the universe and the possibilities of the universe. Okay, so that's part of does that mean that's part of the quantum? That's why it's connected to all of that?
Yeah, that is a quantum. That there is what's got us to here.
Right.
It's billions of permutations of where we're going to and what we've got to do to actually get to this point to move on.
Right.
It's the old quantum. When I did this, obviously I did the inner clock, and it was very masculine. And then I says to you, we went down the boat. I said to you, I says, right, we've got common law, we've got maritime law, we've got a whole thing here. You're going to now sit and do this clock and feminize it. So basically, I've shown you how to do the masculine side and the side, and then you close the clock by starting from May, April, March, February, thinking back up to the clock. So you're using the A, R, B, A up to the clock, and it closes the clock. So
with all the colours that I wanted to use as well.
So I said, you pick the colours, you feminize it, because like I always said, sort of the male creates the female, but now the female's got to create the male.
Chicken and egg again.
Chicken and egg. Yeah, I've explained it and taught to you how it works, this and that, because obviously that's what I've got to do. And now it's the case of now the female creating the males, and that's why there's so many females. There's more, all the females here, but the males are all sort of like not here yet for everybody, because like the females have got to download and create what they want, and that's why you see all these,
most of the truthers are all females.
They're all females.
There's hardly any men at all.
No, there's hardly any men at all, because obviously I said to you tonight, I said it's up to me to create the female, but now it's up to the females to create the males for what they need and what they want. I says, and that's why you probably all our friends or the females are all single, blah blah blah, because there's only so many males here, because the females have got to create the males, and then that's when that starts creating. That's when we can move on. It's like getting everything we need to move on.
Yeah.
Right. Is anybody? It'd be great if everybody's here, right? Because everybody came here specifically to ask questions, so it'd be nice to hear from somebody else.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Next person. Who's got a question? There's someone in the chat asking. It's the same person, being Mary.
Sorry, JC, I'm just going to go and do something with my kids, so I'll let you take over for about.
All right. Sure. Okay. All right, Mark. That's trouble. Okay. No.
Yay.
There we go.
All right. So, be Mary in the chat again. She said, when you talk about keys, does it connect with the financial system? So you were talking about skeleton keys, right?
Yeah.
And that this is connected. This is like a skeleton key, but I think you're talking figuratively, not literally.
It is. I mean, the church uses keys as a lock. So like you've got so the Canterbury Cathedral keep the secret of the cross keys, and it's the only cathedral that have the secret of the cross keys. Yeah. So the cross keys is a double lock. So it's like this, but a double lock. Yeah. And then if you look at most churches, especially in England, the pub across the road from the church is called the Cross Keys because they keep it all together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you've got the Bible, which has obviously got a lock and a lock on both sides of it because it's been superimposed to do what they want out of it. And then you've got a lock and a lock. Cross on the front and back is a double lock.
So it's like, okay, so this is all symbology. So what we see on the surface is not literally what it is. It's a symbology. So even the cross itself is like a symbol of a lock. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a lock.
And it's double locked. And this is how you're decoding it. And that's why we need to think on all these different layers.
Yeah, because the 11, which is 11, which sorry, Abracadabra's got 11 letters in it. Yeah.
Mhm.
And if you push them 2 11s over, you lock it now, and you're locking that Abracadabra in.
Right. And it's
And then
also
you
an equal sign.
It's also an equal sign, yeah, or a plus sign, or a positive sign, but an artificial positive sign, because it's been 2 11s, which is your A and your A, because obviously you got A at the beginning and you got the A at the end, which is your prefix, and they lock them together, and it locks that whole thing for bad straight over the top of you.
So I want to know how you, because I mean, obviously your brain thinks very differently than most people.
People have said that, actually.
It does. But that shows that I think that shows you've got very high IQ.
I am nuts and bolts. So basically, I will listen to stuff and I just absorb what somebody says or somebody does or whatever. So when we used to have a lot of people around the house, we used to have parties, people used to say a certain thing. I just hear what they said, and then from that I go, and that's why you're going wrong. And literally, they didn't even know I was listening.
So you're seeing, and you're seeing underneath and not just one. So this is about us seeing multidimensionally, and you believe that this kind of unlocks that in us, or do we have to have does our mind have to be trained to see things differently first before we interpret the abracadabra clock?
The abracadabra clock has got so many different things you could actually look at. It just opens the brain.
Yeah.
Now the fuck it letter actually rewrites your actual coding. So on the fuck it letter, you're actually addressing the letter to yourself. Yes. So no one ever writes a letter to themselves. So you just so you put dear your name, and then basically I know what I know, you know what you know. So if you're not prepared to listen to what I've got to say, fuck it all, sign it and put a cross on it. Now that's expelling, so because they've got the spelling, which is the word, not fox, toads, and newts, and then it's basically all spelling is all symbols, blah blah blah. So when you go to school, somebody shows you how to draw a symbol. So somebody's teaching your hand. Now your hand is teaching your brain a symbol and a language. It's as simple as that.
I've got it here. I did one. Am I supposed to throw it away?
No, just keep it. No, just keep it.
Keep it somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Wicked.
Yeah.
So I wrote the other day. I was in a hotel room by myself. I was trying to have a break, and I really needed to clear some stuff. And so I actually wrote it to JCK, and then I signed it as my original self, because my original name. So dear JCK, I know what I know. You know what you know. So if you're not prepared to listen to what I have to say, fuck it all. And then I signed it. And I put a big cross in it. Right?
Yeah. And that's how you expel something. If you're expelling something, you're getting rid of something.
Yes, and I did. And after that, I felt better. Yeah.
And it's quite weird as well, because when people are doing it, when you get to the end of the letter, your hand cramps up and it's quite hard to write. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes you actually, as you write your name, it's almost like when you're 5 years old.
Yeah, it's like I was going, Jesus, what's wrong with my hand?
Yeah. Because what it's doing, it's reformatting the brain. So basically, because obviously, say it doesn't matter what it is, but from A to sort of like X, because I think the runes are 20. There's 24 runes originally, and they got split equally. They took them all the way around, so they're all symbols and everything else. It doesn't matter what it is, because everything's relevant to and from. So all you're doing is taking something from the beginning to the end, and then using all the bits that's been used against you, and putting the end bit over the top. So now I'm in control of that language. It doesn't control me. So and it pushes everything all out. But like I was saying in the letter, it explains, if you got taken to a different part of the world, say China or wherever, at the age of 3 or 4, and they shown you how to draw them symbols, you'd be fluent in that language.
Yes.
So it's not a DNA. A language isn't DNA. You know what I mean? It's literally what you get taught and what programs in through your hands. And a computer is exactly the same. You tip tap with your hands, and then you build your program, and then you get the reply back, and it's exactly the same.
This is why English has been simplified over the years. And I was discussing Wuthering Heights recently with JC, actually, and I was also telling my son about Wuthering Heights as a book, because I remember reading that, and it was like I was under a spell while I was reading it. The first few chapters were really difficult, and then it was just like a magical book I ever read.
And then it's magic book, best book ever.
Totally magic, right? An extraordinary experience reading it. And what are the kids reading now? David Walliams books, right? Which are full of horrible Luciferian shit, right?
Yeah.
And the language itself, you know, look at the, I mean, I've had loads of conversations with people recently about the Bible, and you look at the way the Bible, the language of the Bible is. I've got a Bible in here that's like this big, that my great grandfather gave me from the village church from the 1700s.
Nicked it.
Yeah.
Fuck 'em.
I'll have that. He used to be like you, actually. He used to climb up the. He was famous for climbing up the spire without a rope or anything, and then fixing the cockerel and then climbing down again. He was like a monkey. But then you look at the any recent Bibles, and it's just like,
oh gosh, yeah.
Really, I mean, I'm using the Bible as an example because around.
But English itself. So I think John Taylor Gatto talks about this. He was an old teacher, English teacher, and he was like he won Teacher of the Year in New York or something like that, about 5 years in a row. He ended up being a very anti-school person. He's retired now, but he talks about unschooling and homeschooling and stuff like that. And he talks about the history of, you know, schooling and the history of English language and all of that stuff in some of his talks. You can look him up, John Taylor Gatto. And he explained that when he was 11 years old, I mean, they were studying and reading, you know, Shakespearean plays. You know, they were studying very dense texts. And when you look now at what they're doing in school and what they're being taught, I mean, you know, we talk about how you know, generations ago they weren't smart, they didn't go to school or whatever, or they were illiterate, but that's not true. They actually were very literate, and they were reading much higher levels than what we are now, and we're being dumbed down completely because the English language is powerful, and it does.
My own experience is that in Marrakesh we started 2 schools. We're involved with starting 2 schools because we were homeschooling. And one of the schools was my kids and another family's kids. So it was 8 children, right? 8 children with 2 tutors. And literally when we moved to Ireland, my kids were 3 or 4 years ahead of everybody else. After being here 2 years, dumbed right down. Absolutely dumbed down. And nobody here in this country, and please don't be offended, anybody from Ireland watching this, but I've not met anybody that can spell in Ireland. They use text speak even in messages and whatever. I tried to employ some people a couple of years ago, and I got about 40 CVs in, and not one of them was spelt correctly. And
they don't know longhand, and cursive. So for me, ever since I was like maybe 6 or 7, I taught myself cursive. So I knew how to do running writing from a very, very young age. And that actually, just that form of writing, it can, you know, it's all connected and things like that. And it actually makes your brain work a bit faster. Well, they've stopped teaching that at school now. It's all printing.
I mean,
it's like broken. Yeah, sorry, it's broken language, and it really dumbs you down. And that inability to spell things out as you're writing them, because, you know, I'm a very good speller and I'm very good at English and all that. But you find that the people, generations now, recent generations, they really don't know how to spell anymore, because it's all this R and U and like almost like hieroglyphics we're using now to communicate with each other.
I'm just going to say that, you know, I've put misspellings in all of the poems I've put out, and it was not.
And I have.
I'm a professional in 4-letter words. Anything 4 letters, no problem, mate.
It's because I work 10 times the speed of most people. I want to get them out the door, and I don't check. Somebody just said something really interesting in the chat there as well. Nicola said, I went to a private school and was ahead, but decided it wasn't for me at the age of 14 and it did me no harm. Nicola, what do you mean by that? Speak up. It's funny how many shy people come onto this show.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that. Can I talk about that really quickly? Because I in school I was a straight A student. I found it so boring, and I ended up, everything I know now I taught myself. So I can remember as a young kid, I was so bored with school. My sister and I would go and we'd research stuff ourselves and teach ourselves how to do things. We'd teach ourselves how to, I don't know, we'd read books that were a lot older than, what we were, the age that we were at. We would research everything. So everyone would walk around saying, how do you know this stuff? You're like walking encyclopedias, because we would actually read encyclopedias and we would, do all of that. But that's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of these homeschooled or unschooled people who are ahead of the game because they're outside of the box. So essentially what you're saying in general with Abracadabra is we have to think outside of the box. And we've indoctrinated in this society to think only in a very finite way and to only see us one sort of dimension.
Well, the box is the left brain, right?
Yes.
And interesting, this concept of boxes. I don't know if I've said this on a previous one, but I wrote a play in my 20s called Boxes, because we come, the womb is a box, we leave in a box, and everything. There's all these boxes in between. Don't know why I said that actually.
Relevant to and from boxes.
That's right. That's right. That's why I said it, because we were talking about the boxes. Yeah. But Liz just said that old languages only have consonants and no vowels.
Sorry, I had to let my cat out.
Yeah, you disappeared.
I disappeared. Sorry.
Hebrew and and the old Islamic and Arabic.
You mean
don't
Arabic?
Have vowels. They only had consonants.
Arabic does have vowels.
No, she means the old original.
Oh, old Arabic. Yeah.
The old original didn't have vowels. So I'm just wondering what that might how that might affect.
Well, isn't that how you write a sigil? You take out the vowels.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because if anybody doesn't know about sigil magic, you write an intention out. It is my intention that this, that, and the other happens and no harm shall come from it. Then you take out all the repeating letters, then you take out all the vowels, and then what you're left with is a few lines, and then you make a magic symbol out of those and charge it with an intention. And then it happens. Whatever that intention is happens, as long as you let it go. And what I normally do is you have to charge it, and that's used a lot in sex magic as well, because sexual energy is incredibly powerful, but you can also charge it with meditation, and then burn it and let it go, which is basically coming back to the law of attraction thing. You were saying.
Just say fuck it and let it go.
Fuck it, yeah. I tell you what. I tell you another thing we actually did. I tried, and that was charging crystals off moons. Oh my god, we had crystals in the house, and then literally where the moon was coming up, we had mirrors coming in, bouncing all the way around with the energy, going into all the crystals and then back out again. And I forgot what I'd done and gone into the other room. Literally, I filled the house with full of energy to the point you could hardly open the door, and it took me.
We couldn't even sit up.
Couldn't even sit up. You literally couldn't even sit up. Literally, it took me, I think, about 2 days to empty all the energy out of the house, because it filled the house up.
When this bullshit's over, can everybody on this call come round to your house for a weekend? It sounds great.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Well, I know when you're coming, because the room will.
Yeah, the room will get bigger.
Sounds like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
It is, isn't it? But the thing is, it all stems from understanding this, and then from understanding this, all these other ideas come into my head, boom, 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 and I just did it. And it worked, and this and that. It didn't work straight away, but like it was like going through all the permutations. It didn't work. The next thing you know, fucking hell, what we've gone and done now, because it's like, whoa. You know what I mean? Especially when the energy started actually really coming in, because it was almost like it's touching you, and it was like, we're under attack. What the fuck's this? You know what I mean? It's like, wow. And it took a long time to learn what it actually is,
and not be fearful.
Not be fearful of it.
Yeah, because there was a time when you were afraid of it, wasn't there?
Oh God!
God, yeah, because it was almost like over a period of time you've learned to realise what it actually is, and it's almost like we've been put into this matrix, and it's like, now find your way out without a textbook. It's like, really, and it's almost like that sort of feeling, and you're just going through different permutations, doing this and doing that. And then it's, in the end you realise that you're part of it and you're working with it, because I deal with a lot with the witches, energy people, and they're just pure energy. They look like us, yeah, but they can take any form on they want, and they can be fuckers, because they've got a sense of humour, and literally they can come in through the wall or whatever. Next thing you know, turn themselves to a snake and dive on you just to like to shit you up. Like, that's funny. But like, they can take any form on that they want to take on, any form they want. And they've got, and when they're running the energy around or they're doing it, they use all old formats like beautiful horses with all glittering sort of armor on and everything, and chariots and stuff. It's almost like going back to ancient times. And literally they use all that sort of technology to pull you along and blah blah blah. And it's amazing, really.
Yeah.
Liz just sent me a picture, wanted me to show it to you. See if this is. Can you see this? It's all
Can't really see that.
It looks
all we
like
can see is-
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Now we can. I am. Okay, it says I am.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What is it, Liz?
I found it on Pinterest, and it's I am that I am, and it's the Saturn square or the
where it all adds up to 6, whichever way.
square of Solomon, the square of Solomon, and the sigil of Saturn.
This is the clock, then it's 6.
That's weird because it's 69 again. I was born in 69 and my birthday is 1304, which adds up to 17.
My birthday is 17.
But the thing is, as well, you can, because of that clock, you can see how the government are using it. Like, you got the rule of 6. It's the full clock on the outside. The rule of 6. You got the rule of 6. You got the 6 degrees of separation. About everybody knows somebody, so you got that. Sixth sense, which we've been detached from. And then I was at my mate's place the other day, and he's like, "Oh, the news is coming on." I'm like, "Oh, really?" He says, "Yeah, boss is going to do this." Oh, really? Anyway, he mentioned on the Saturday that it's going to be Thursday. So he goes, "Well," and there was, "Well, why Thursday?" He goes, "Well, you know, it's got 6 days, isn't it? You know what I mean? From Saturday to the Thursday night of the new lockdown, 6 again. You know what I mean?"
Yeah,
So like,
then you've got £6, which is basically a poorly octopus.
But yeah, but you can see how they're using the whole lot. And then, like I said before, don't play cards because, like, you know, banker plays 21. Well, the universe works on 22. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can have
I'm really good at blackjack. I'm just saying.
Are you really?
Yeah.
We probably, yeah. You see, yeah, you can.
You got
no. I got a system. I always win.
We've got to go to a casino. I need to go to a casino and watch it.
Yeah.
But it also,
yeah, go on. Sorry, I was going to ask you a question.
Oh, go. You far away.
All right. This is something a bit different, but I'm going to ask you. So I can see with you two, Juicy and Lucy, okay, that your chemistry, you're sparking off each other, right? And you're manifesting this. Look, this wouldn't work. See, even if I had the knowledge of this and I'm on my own, I don't think I could activate or do things the way you do unless I had the male counterpart that's matches me to do that, because I just feel like, because the two of you know, like, you're seeing the same things, you're sparking each other like a battery. Does that make sense? Because I can feel it with you two. Like, the reason why this is working and why you're tapping into that is because you two are matched together.
Yeah, we've been put together.
Yeah. So tell us about that and how that twin flame. Somebody said, great point, Jay said twin flame energy.
And then let's set up abracadabradating.com.
Not bad.
I like it. Yeah.
Isn't it? Huh?
It's funny because 10 years before we actually met, Juicy actually saved my life. 10 years before we met.
Well done. Well done.
Never got one thank you. Never got one thank you.
Hang on. Well done. Well done on remembering to call him Juicy. Well done. I know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I kept wanting to call him by his real name.
You know what? That usually calls me that anyway.
I keep wanting to call him by their real name.
How did we save your life? What did we do?
Well, I was out with a friend on a double date, and the night was a bit weird. And it was just a weird atmosphere all night. And we ended up leaving this nightclub early because it's just weird.
Double dates are always a bad idea, by the way.
Oh, God, yeah, it was. And we were just stood outside the nightclub, just talking about what should we do next. Should we get some chips or something? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this massive fight erupted literally all around us. And it was the most horrific fight I've ever seen in my life. People were being chucked through shop windows. I remember somebody was getting his head smashed on the pavement over and over again. There was blood everywhere. It was proper horrific. And then in the distance, I saw this red car pull up. And then I saw these 4 massive blokes get out of this car and start breaking the fight up. And I assumed that these blokes were undercover coppers. And that gave me and my mate chance to run off. And then I met Juicy and we were talking one night, and then we were both talking about 2 separate issues, weren't we? And then we ended up talking about that particular night. And then we both realised that Juicy was one of the guys that got out of that car to break the fight up. And you were all rugby players, weren't you? And that's why you were massive. But I assumed you were all undercover coppers.
Yeah, because my mate used to have the old Cavalier 4x4. You know, the red ones he used to have. The old Cavalier, they used to have the Cavalier 4x4 SRIs, didn't they? The police used to have.
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, and of course we was in one of them. So of course everyone just thought, oh, Bill, boom, boom, boom. And literally, that was it. We got
It
that.
was the worst fight I've ever seen.
All we wanted was a kebab. Yeah? Gospel. And all these people were like, and I was like picking people up, going, I want to get in, I want something to eat. Of course.
Yeah, because that was outside the chip shop, wasn't it?
The whole of the town, I'm saying, hundreds of people, seen us as old Bill, all we wanted is a kebab, yeah? And they just, it was gone. Mental, innit? And then
so how did you save you? How did you save?
I was going to say, you haven't actually told us how you saved her life.
Talking about kebabs and chips.
Him and getting out of the car and breaking the fight up. Then me and my mate managed to be able to run away, because we were literally in the middle of it all. But there was fights going on all the way around us, and me and my mate were stood in the middle, like frozen, couldn't move, couldn't get out of the way, because like I've never seen so much blood and
she's always been hard
work. It was awful, really awful. Oh,
yeah. and then years later we met in a nightclub, and then yeah. I was like, I'm going to tell you a story. It's the first story I ever had. We have to go through that, but it's about the greeny brown monkey on a bit of cat toast.
I think that's the kind of word you just said, and
it was the first
Americans watching this, which there are.
Sorry, folks.
Slow that down.
We first met, right? 10 years after that fight, we met in a nightclub, and all night, all of his mates kept going on about, have you heard the story yet? Have you heard the greeny brown story? And I was like, no, what the fuck's that?
The greeny brown story. Just
greeny brown story.
We're talking about here.
It ends up. It's a really good one, and it ends up a greeny brown monkey on a bit of cat toast, right? Yeah, it's amazing, right? So.
It is amazing.
This is great asking the question.
This is gospel truth. I used to sit in this nightclub, and people used to sit around me so I could tell a story about the greeny brown monkey on a bit of cat toast. Anyway, when I met you, I said, "Do you want to hear a story?" She says, "How long is it going to take?" He goes, "Quite a fucking while." So I said, "Come on, we're going out then. I'll take you out tomorrow night." And I'm still explaining the bloody thing now. You know what I mean? So, but the weird thing about it is, people used to come to we used to always go to the same nightclub, and people used to come and bring their friends. So I told them the same story. So obviously it had some sort of. This is the first time I actually put a story to what I knew, and literally 3 years later, a girl that I used to know met her boyfriend, and she bought him and looking for.
She made a point of bringing him to us,
so I could tell him the story 3 years later. So that story was like the first story I ever actually put together about how things, and it actually involves how things work. You know what I mean? But it all revolves around plasticine.
You said you've said before about the narrative, and the narrative creates the reality. And I think we talked about the hero's journey on previous episode, didn't we?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the hero's journey has a creative ability. We all recognize it instinctively and tap into it.
People have always said to me, "You're really good at telling stories."
Well, you are
So,
when you slow.
yeah,
down.
Slow down.
I don't think the
You
American.
need some heroin.
I don't think the American.
Need some heroin. We're gonna slow you right down.
Not tried that one yet.
Okay.
We're gonna have to do a bit of work on the old voice there before we break New York. Like you'll be like on stage, and they'll be like, you go, "What the fuck is he saying?"
So you don't matter. It's funny.
I don't understand a fucking word he's saying.
But what I did learn on my journey was that's the story. You could tell something sort of like quite. People don't really want to take stress in, but if you could tell them a story and then flip it to a funny, it takes it into the brain, and they go and it accepts it. But if you just hard nailed it, they won't. But if you're telling them like something, sorry,
I call that that's a steel fist in a velvet glove.
Yeah. So you're telling them a true sort of fact, and then you spin it into like a funny at the end, and literally the whole story you've just told them sinks in. And it used to be like, wow. I used to tell this story to women, and they used to come on. Their whole body clock used to change like that. Boom.
Or go for a wee.
Or go to the toilet. Yeah.
Need a wee.
When you mean come on, as in
a period. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. It used to put you do it then when they hit the punchline, and literally it changed their whole body clock.
Wow.
That makes complete sense, because you can affect people in. I mean the amount of messages. I know JC's had thousands, and I've had a few from people saying incredible things, like just by you speaking your truth, or being funny or whatever, that's just calmed me down. It's changed my life.
Prevented suicide in many cases.
Prevented suicide, which is extraordinary, right? Mm-hmm. Extraordinary. How can you do that with just by talking?
That's a resonate. So I worked that out yesterday after speaking to that Hayoka guy. Yeah, it's the frequency, but it's also it's about the subversion of, well, what is it? It's about speaking truth. So you're cutting through the bullshit and you're clearing a path, and then all of that programming drops, and then it's able to connect to that person's truth, and they're able to sort of, out of shock, it activates something in them, and that clears a path in them.
Yeah. This is why I've been obsessed with laughter recently, because I'm being guided to do that, and it's not necessarily me. But what you've got right now is a huge amount of people on the planet who are in such a state of fear that they can't take anything in. They're just not. No. So this is why they're twangers, because they can't. No, you could stand there, and I mean, even somebody on Facebook today, quite a famous person, put up a thing about, he's an old friend of mine, who put up a thing about Joe Biden has just been declared president, and I put a note up going, wait to see what happens next, because and then she says, but how do you know? This stuff exists, because I said, well, it's all on 3 laptops, one of which is a file called Frazzle Drip. Yeah. And I didn't explain it. I was hoping she'd go to Google and have a look. And then she said, well, how do you know that's real? So then I went and found the video of the woman that's just been made head of the FBI. Can't remember her name. Sidney Powell. And Sidney Powell did this lecture where she, at a university about 6 months ago, I think, where she says, and there were hardened coppers who saw this stuff on the laptop, and then they were throwing up, and even though they've been in policemen for 30, 40 years. And I was like, how much more evidence? And it's just like, I've got to keep going back and back again. Yeah. But she self-identified as somebody who's in a state of fear with that post. So so when you go and just speak in the frequency of truth, right, which JC does brilliantly, people resonate with it, and they connect with it, and it calms them down, because they know that they're not alone, right? And that it's not just, one of the greatest things about starting this channel for me, I started talking about demons, I started talking about all this stuff that I used to think would affect my business career. And once you get rid of that, judgment and not caring about what people think about you is so liberating. And people need to see that from other people, because when you see somebody else that's standing in their power like that, it gives you the confidence to do it. And then when you do it, what happens then is all these incredible frequencies happen, and then you start manifesting the world that you want.
It's the 100 monkey effect as well. 100th monkey.
Yeah, we wrote about that as well, haven't we?
Yeah, 100 monkey. But this also goes back to the abracadabra thing. In what we were saying is that some people are not going to get it because they're only thinking literally. And you're saying it's not a logical 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. This is how you use it. It's not an instruction manual. It's literally a skeleton key, and you're going to have to kind of almost absorb it.
And it's like trying to explain music, isn't it? How do you explain music to somebody? If you put headphones on and listen to Mozart, it changes your whole state. How do you explain that in a PDF or in a
you can't. No. It's different for everybody. You're going to hear different things. Yeah. And this has got that juice. Now, we didn't invent the juice. Yeah, it was from a doctor, but it was passed to us. Yeah. So then we had the juice. So basically, we knew about hydroxychloroquine. Yeah, we knew about the benefits, and we thought, well, we want to try it. If it's good enough for Trumpy Bum, it's good enough for us. What's it about? And then your friend from Australia sent us the recipe. Yeah. So we thought, right. I thought when he says make your own, I thought it was like Breaking Bad. I thought, oh my God, we're going to take the kitchen out. Yeah. I was like, Jesus Christ. And when it was just lemons and grapefruit, I'm like, really? Do you know what I mean? So anyway, we made it, but we made it, and we just had that on its own with some zinc, and you could feel the benefit. Yeah. And then obviously we watched Dr. Tenpenny, and she was saying about quercetin, yeah, because it's quite similar to hydroxychloroquine. So we were like, oh, okay, so let's order some of that from Oliver & Barrett. So we ordered that, we ordered the zinc, but we ran out of juice by this time. So we had that, we had the quercetin with the zinc, and I was like, you know what, I feel fucking wicked. Same day, I felt absolutely wicked. Anyway, we didn't know how much of the juice to have, so we're just doing.
It doesn't say measurements on that recipe, so we were just guessing it.
So basically, around a couple of teaspoons with the quercetin and the zinc. Anyway, it felt good. And then one day I was late for work, so you know what his men are like. Just grabbed it out of the fridge, went like that everywhere, whole mouth full of the bloody stuff. I thought, oh. And literally, I got about 20 minutes down the road, and I was absolutely flying. Absolute nightmare. I got on site, and literally I was on site. Absolute nightmare. I felt about 18 years old. Got all the way home. You'd only had the few teaspoons,
a couple of tablespoons,
and she was nothing like it. So the next day, I come downstairs and she filled a tumbler. Went, are you mental? I didn't have that much. So we come up with that level. Yeah, we both whacked it down, and with it both in 20 minutes, was both absolutely flying. So we knew we hit the right level. It was like, that's it.
By the way, when you first gave me the recipe and I made it, I had no interest in what the prescription was. I just drank loads of it, right? That's the way I work. And loads of people kept saying to me, what are the measurements and how much you're supposed to take? And then it got me. Well, firstly, I want to warn everybody: if you do take a lot of it, it makes you fart like you wouldn't believe.
According to my boss, it can give you a headache as well, because she's had a big glass of it before.
She went, her boss.
She's a nutter. She had a big glass of it and gave herself a headache. So she's now took it down.
Yeah.
She took it down a couple of mils.
Yeah, of course.
A couple of mils. She only got a job for a week. She's been there months.
I drink about that much.
About the way I cook, right?
Yeah, that's cool. Good.
Do you have the zinc with it as well? You have the zinc.
I'm just going to explain something. It got me thinking about the way I cook, because one of my daughters was here the other day when we were making something, and she was going, well, what's the measurement? Have you got a measuring jug? And I went, no, I don't think I've ever had a measuring jug. She goes, how do you cook things? I said, well, you just sort of feel
instinctive.
it. I've never measured anything, ever. Yeah. Well, in my business, I've had to measure things, but
actually, that actually, sorry, I talked over the top of you, but that's a good way. That's a good way. That's a good way of getting people to get out of the left brain, is to make a meal with absolutely no recipe. Actually, you know what you do is
Yeah.
you
It's
read
perfect
the
meal as
just
well.
read the ingredients in the recipe and then instinctively cook it. And
Yeah.
don't read the method. And that will get you in your right brain because you're using your instinct and using, you know, you're going with your gut feeling. So you've got to start training yourself in that way. Try and do that, and that will get you out of that. Yeah.
Also, try writing a poem. Everybody can write a poem.
Yes.
Right?
You'd be out of business, mate. Yeah.
And don't overthink.
I'm still on roses are red and violets are
By the
blue.
way,
I
here's
moved off
one of my poems and a t-shirt if you'd like to.
Here's a little quick one. You know Oxo cubes?
Yes.
Originally,
yeah.
Originally that was a spell.
Oxo.
Yes, I heard that. Who did I read? You know
Yeah.
what? I think what's his name said that. What's his name? Bloody hell. What's his name?
Yeah, it's all herbs and
Yeah.
spices, isn't it?
Yeah, no, somebody who's really well known to that. Okay, I'll think of his name. You go on. Talk about the spell.
But that takes you back into the clock because you've got you've got your circles and your X's.
Hang on, but I know the guy who came up with it was Mr. Moran.
Mr. Moran.
Yeah, he was the oxymoron.
Oh my God!
All known as moron.
Hashtag dad joke.
You went to see him dance, fucking hell.
Did they do a dad dance?
That's how he broke his picture before, you know. You don't really gone to the framers. But yeah, see, that all goes down to cooking because that was a spell.
Well, what witches do? They have big cauldrons.
Cauldrons,
yeah.
Cooking.
And that's what that juice is all about. And that's why that juice, depending on how long you cook it for, gives you different effects.
Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting. Have you done experiments with that?
Yeah. We've gone for the 666.
Well, we did an accidental, didn't we?
I did it for 8 hours and I left it steeped for 8 hours.
Yeah, we do a 6 hour.
We now do 6 hours, 6 minutes, 6 seconds.
we put the 3 6s in it. Why not?
I think, I
cook your spell.
Slow cook for 6 hours.
Yeah.
And left 6 hours overnight, and then
yeah. And if you have it on the 6 hour, it is like liquid speed. You are flying all day.
So what does 8 do? Because 8's eternity, right? So what's that
12 hours is more relaxing, a bit more
chilled.
like a very weak Valium type.
It's a very much chilled. So the 6 hour, you're like woohoo, and a 12 hour, you're like
yeah, more relaxed.
More relaxed with it. So depending on how long you cook it for, and then when people look at in the juice group when they have to see it, it's healed people all around the world. We did it to wake.
Let me go get some. I'm gonna go get some.
Yeah, we did it primarily to wake our friends up. So what we wanted to do is basically get this juice down and clear the brain fog. And then obviously it moved on from then. And we've been doing it, we've been testing it on ourselves now for 13 weeks, every day for 13 weeks, which is more than a vaccine company's ever done.
Oh, definitely.
Does mean. So we've tested it on ourselves. We do the same amount every day. We do the whole thing regimented just to make sure there's no kickback or anything else. And we've been doing it for 13 weeks now. I used to suffer from sciatic nerve. That's gone. Your back pains are gone.
My sciatic nerves gone.
Not had a headache since.
No migraine.
No migraines.
My eczema's cleared up.
Eczema's cleared up.
I got mine.
Yeah. Ooh, wow.
Do you know how I used quite a bit? I used 3 grapefruit and 3 lemons.
Yeah, that's it.
That's cool.
That's it.
That's cool.
It's all the 3s. You see, you got three. You got 3 of them, and 3 liters of water, and 6 hours done.
Yeah. See.
And you put it. You
I drink about that much. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Right. looks like piss, but yeah.
It does. It does, doesn't it?
It does.
It does. It's like, oh.
It's very bitter.
It's not piss, JC. It's aquavita.
But I tell you what, I was at work the other day and I cut myself. My blood is luminous red. I have never.
Like strawberry red.
Strawberry red. My blood is now.
So it oxygenates your blood,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely booming.
Yeah, but the thing is, this stuff also decalcifies your pineal gland.
Yeah.
How do you
and
know?
your pineal gland
How do you know
actually
that?
cleanses and
do you-
purifies your blood.
What it does, it purifies your blood, so it gets rid of all the heavy metals that's in your blood, that's in your actual in your blood. And it's heavy metals that stick in there.
And honestly, his blood was like strawberry
red,
bright red.
Wow. So that means it's thinned your blood then. And don't forget, and the quercetin is antioxidant.
I wouldn't say thin, because literally I took my knuckle off and literally it stopped bleeding in seconds.
Oh, okay. But that's the clotting. So that's okay. All right, I get it.
And
it's just the colour of it that's changed.
Just the colour's changed.
That's all those kebabs, though,
It's like
isn't it?
strawberry.
Sorry?
That's all those kebabs.
It is all them kebabs. Yeah. But because this group, I think it's about 3,500 people in the group, but you could double that with people that are doing it within families and stuff. And the feedback that people have been on morphine all their life and now they're off the morphine. People have been on high blood pressure tablets and now they've had to stop taking them. You got that.
Loads of people are now off their pharmaceutical meds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I explain something? I make this other medicine with grapefruit, the pith of a grapefruit. And what it's got in it is it's like an analgesic. So that's why I think that works for that reason. Like it's a painkiller.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So in the pith, I think that's what it's called, an analgesic or something like that. Yeah, but it's got something in it. It's got a substance in it that's a natural analgesic. So if you mix, here's another bit of medicine for you. If you got half a pineapple, fresh pineapple, the pith of the grapefruit or a pomelo or something like that, but the actual pith, the white part, is something really thick, dry it out, but use that, blend it up with the pineapple. You can add ginger in it and cayenne pepper. Make sure you put cayenne pepper in there. And I'm not giving measurements because you just do whatever. Okay.
That's exactly
and then you can add a little bit of chili if you like, but I add turmeric. So turmeric, ginger, pineapple, the pith of a grapefruit and cayenne pepper and water, and just blend it in your blender. And you store that in a glass container and just take it if you've got pain at all. And I've used this in family members with like severe back pain, and they've come off all their painkillers and just take a tablespoon. And you could take that like 3 times a day. It's pretty spicy, but it will kill the pain. So I think that the grapefruit, cooking it down and all of that, I think that's part of what's killing the pain in these people that are on morphine. It's the it's the pith, it's the white part that they tell us not to eat. It's got this magic stuff in it. So even if you want to use it in the future, just like if you're not making quinine, save the pith and the rind. You could. So what I do is I save the rind, that bit, and I dry that out, and I use that in the fire to sort of as a fire starter. And then the pith, dry it right out and store it in a, an airtight container. But you can use that for medicine as well.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing.
And this is one way we got to wake people up, because we sold it as an energy drink. It's better than anything else. Blah blah.
And an immune booster.
An immune booster. Yeah. And then after a period of time,
bromelain, it's pineapple.
We tell people that's hydroxychloroquine, and that's what the big pharma don't want you to have. And how wicked do you feel on it? And they don't want you to have it. And all of a sudden, the penny drops.
Well, let me tell you a story about Morocco when I lived there. So when I first went, I went on this touristy thing in Marrakesh and got taken into a pharmacy, but it was like a tourist pharmacy, right? So you go in there and the guy's all very charming and everything, and it's just wall to wall herbs and spices and all this kind of stuff. And he's mixing them up in his powder, and he said, "This is good for this. This is good for that. This is Moroccan Viagra. This is only 50."
Yeah.
So they're mixing all that. But then you go out to the villages, right? And the villages, they're just like rubble huts, and the barbers it's just like these homemade breeze blocks thrown together, and they're functional, but they look, it looks run down. But in the middle of every village is a gleaming building with gleaming lights that says pharmacy, every single one. And it's like this $1 million building in the middle of this ancient stuff. And then it's just selling shit to them.
Yeah.
And it's so heartbreaking. This is one of the reasons why I'm so anti big pharma, for obvious reasons. But the average wage there is like it's about £7 a day. about $10 a day.
Yeah.
And there's a woman there who'd had a baby that we knew, and she was being charged something like 30 quid. She was told not to breastfeed her child, and it was like 30, 40 quid a week to have this formula that the doctor prescribed for her to get. She was pulling her eyes out, and we ended up buying her a goat so that she could milk the goat and feed the kid on the goat's milk, which and the kids thrived and is healthy now. But it absolutely, we're talking about grapefruits and lemons, right? Which is just nature, which is just, and I talked about magic mushrooms earlier, which is just nature.
That's why a lot of people can't get their head around it, because it's just so ridiculously easy.
Everybody's so hardwired. I was having this conversation earlier today with my son. Everybody's so hardwired that if you say something, like I remember a woman last year who was in the middle of chemo, she was dying of cancer, and I was waiting outside the school one day, and I said hello, and she was saying what she was going through, and I said, "Have you ever tried CBD oil?" And she literally went like this.
Yeah, no, it's unreal, isn't it? Yeah.
Work. I was like, what? You know?
Yeah. We was in a sports shop buying some bits and pieces before they all shut down, and was in there and was talking to the guys behind the till, because we don't wear masks, we just fucking wander in, you know what I mean? Fuck you, I'm in here. Anyway, we're going about, we're just like talking about the juice and how wicked it is and blah blah blah. And of course, all these mask wearers, and they're out of the big bulging eyes, aren't they? They look like I'm starving, I've got no oxygen eyes. And literally, we was giving him probably the cure, 4 different things, on how this works and how it functions and everything else. So it's a good. Their biggest fear is COVID-19 and dying from it, and this could actually protect you from it, or help you with colds and stuff. Anyway, So literally, we're there talking. They're looking at you like some sort of fucking weirdo. And then as we walk out the shop, we're talking to the lads behind the till. I says, "We don't take it for any of that reason. We just take it because it makes you feel fucking wicked, and then just fuck off out the shop." All the lads are laughing, but all the mask wearers are staring at you like
we've just said something.
I've just slipped in. There's a group here. Join the group, and you can see the benefits. And they just look at you like you're some sort of weirdo.
That happened to me in the vegetable shop. I was buying the lemon and the grapefruit in this little shop, and there was a woman in there, and I was going, "These are brilliant. You can make natural quinine with these." And as soon as I said that, she looked at me like I was insane.
Yeah.
And I was like, "It's a lemon and a grapefruit."
Yeah.
It just shows how indoctrinated people are, right? So, and this is why everybody thinks Trump. Yeah, but this is why everyone, if they know how it works, how language works. If we repeat it often enough, and we program people into believing something is evil, and they know that people are stuck on the television, and that if they repeat this thing often enough, people will believe it. Those that are not awake, the twangers.
People are actually programmed into making everything look more difficult than it actually really is.
But they watch a lot of soaps. So, like I said before, you got the government talking about mental health, this, that. Yeah. So you got these soaps, and it's all depression, the whole lot, all doom and gloom. Now, if these governments actually wanted to do away with mental health, there should be a balance between doom and gloom and happiness. Yeah. A balance. There's none whatsoever.
Mel will know this, but David told me a story the other day. David Ian Rogers, the shamanic healer, for anybody that's not heard that, but he told me a story that he was working with a government health, mental health authority, and he was having incredible results really quickly. And then they turned around to him and said, "We want you to stop." And he was like, "Why? I'm having great results here." They said, "Well, if we don't keep people here for at least 8 months depressed, we lose our funding."
They lose their funding.
Wow.
Wait, and he was curing people in an hour. And that tells you everything you need to know. Magic mushrooms, solve depression. They solve problems, right? Why have they been demonized? Because of that very fact. Cannabis cures cancer. Why has it been demonized? Because of that very fact. So look, we've been going for 2 and a bit hours, right?
Really?
I always do this because I'm always thinking of the other people watching it, right? What
people watch it, Mark? People will watch it.
No, I know they will, but I just feel guilty because it's 3 hours.
No, hang on. No, that's program. Stop it.
What's 2 hours anyway? You know what I mean?
I'll put it another way. I'm getting tired.
We go for days, can't we?
Yeah, days, weeks.
Days, weeks.
What I want to ask you guys is, what can anybody watch in this? You know, we've talked now for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours about the abracadabra thing. No, in total. Jess.
Oh, you mean the total? Okay.
Keep up. So, what can people do? What would be the most practical thing that you could do with abracadabra? Because, you know, after the last time we talked,
yeah,
I was going around. I started quite well, not quietly. I started looking at clouds and saying things like abracadabra, and then I started adding abracadabra in to my list of manifesting affirmations. So I'd be like, you know, why am I so happy? Abracadabra. You know, why am I so healthy? Abracadabra. What do you do? Do you do anything like?
Well, the thing is, because obviously we've left these little clues for ourselves to pick up as we go along. You know what I mean? So abracadabra is either a magical word or a non-magical word. Yeah, depending what you know about it. So basically, if you're a magical person like we are, then basically that's our connection. If you're not magical, it means nothing to you whatsoever.
That's beautifully put.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
If that answers the question, that's what the question is.
Well, for me, does anybody else in this group? We've got 27 people here, which probably break my computer. Is anybody here got anything to say to that?
Let it be magical.
Put your hand up. I'll have a look if anyone's got their hand up.
Do you think the world?
Was hijacked by Disney? Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Disney hijacks everything. Disney
Mm-hmm.
and inverting everything for 100 years. It's an evil thing. Burn everything Disney.
See, they was using it in reverse. So basically, they was using it on the other ones because they're not magical. They thought they was magical, so they was using it. They pretend that actually they're the higher beings, they're all this and everything else.
Yeah.
But they don't know the real code of how it goes together. That's the first time that I think that whole sequence has been put together.
Yeah.
On paper.
I think all they know how to do is invert things and corrupt things and subvert things, and that's why they take these numbers. But they
don't know the nuts and bolts.
They don't know.
Nuts and bolts.
They don't know. No.
And the thing is, if they were the masters of the universe, like they said they are, and if they was when we was all in here, all captured and everything else, don't you think they should have been keeping that safe?
Mm.
Well, it's all the Wizard of Oz, isn't it? It's all the big and it's just a little bloke behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what all demons are like as well. They're not scary at all. They're only scary if you allow them to be scary. But once you look in the eye and go, fuck you, they're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So we've got Jody wants to say something. Jody.
I've loved this chat, guys, by the way. I've wanted to jump in a couple of times, but then it's just been too interesting. So I've kind of backed out. But on the question that you asked about the my thoughts around the abracadabra thing and what Juicy and Lucy said about if you're of the magical folk or if you're a muggle, it's going to take on different meanings. It reminded me of what Charlie Freak talks a lot about, the difference between the electrical and the magnetic. And you can have a thought about something, even if it's in your awareness, if you haven't got the feeling that matches that has that synchronicity, then you lose your creative power. So if you know that there is power in the words that we speak and the intentions that we hold, the magnetism that then emanates from that is going to have an effect. Whereas if you've only got the thought but you don't really believe it, so you don't feel it, you're not going to have that magnetism. So that's what sort of came to mind for me.
Yeah, definitely.
It
is all about feeling.
It's not just about the feeling, it's how you express your body as well. So as you're talking, it's almost like you're playing to a off-screen camera that's not actually there. So you're using your whole body as a tool. I always get told, why do you always use your hands when you talk? I say, I don't know. You do as well. You know what I mean?
So does Donald Trump.
Yeah, so it's the whole thing. How you look, blah blah. You're telling a story with your physical and the mental and everything else, and the whole thing comes together. But the twangers They're telling a story, but it might as well be dead because there's no feeling behind it. There's no story
Well,
behind it.
This happened to me when I was running a business 10 years ago, and The Secret came out, and I was like, this is always trying to improve everybody that works for me, and I was in some way. And I bought everybody a copy of the DVD, and I gave it to everybody. I said, go and watch this. And then they come, and I'd get them all together on a Sunday. We used to employ a couple of hundred people, and I'd get them all into a hotel, get them all to stand up, and then talk about what they wanted. And this is when I started really getting into teaching the law of attraction stuff. And I was always amazed at what happened. And 9.9 times out of 10, people would be putting up their vision board, and it would always be a picture of a Ferrari and dollar signs and all of this. And it just didn't work, right? But it was working for me perfectly, and that led me into reading up on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if anybody's read that, which was really the book that started the self-help movement in the 30s, but was also the first book that really was actually talking about the law of attraction, although it didn't mention it by name. And then I found out, when you go deeply into that Napoleon Hill was commissioned by not JP Morgan, the Carnegie, Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate in New York, who was one of the richest men in the world, along with JP Morgan, who funded Tesla and then pulled the funding off Tesla and burnt down Tesla's work. And in Think and Grow Rich, when he was presented with the manuscript, Carnegie, that Napoleon Hill had written, he took out, I think he took out the last chapter, or he took out some of it, in the same way that the Council of Nicaea took out chapters out of the Bible and the books of Enoch and everything else, because he took out the bit that basically said what you just said, which is you can think it, but if you don't feel it in your stomach, this is why when I did the video about manifesting things, you have to cheat it until you actually feel it, because as soon as you feel it and that matches up, you manifest anything really, really quickly.
Yeah, and it's like, even though you can't see who we are, but you still feel the interaction between all them senses. You don't have to see that person. You can actually feel it through. I mean, I can even tell by a ring. Somebody's ringing me up. I hear the ringtone. I can tell if they're angry, pissed off, or upset, or anything else. But I ain't answering that until they calm down. Then all of a sudden, you can hear the submission in the ring, and then I'll answer it. Do you get that as well?
Yeah.
That's why I avoid phone calls.
Yeah, you can hear it. Irate in the ring. I thought, I ain't answering that. You can fuck right.
Yeah, I get knots in my stomach sometimes, and I look, and then I see it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to.
Yeah, so you can actually hear that. You can feel that person in that ring all the way through, do exactly what's going on, and then all of a sudden they'll keep on ringing, and all of a sudden you can hear them sort of like calm down, and then you'll answer and go, "You're all right." Yeah, so even things like that, even a ring, the phone's ringing, it's just a ring, but you can hear that of a person in the ring. You can actually hear it. But you see, that's because we're different, and obviously the rest of them ain't got a fucking clue.
Oh, somebody just asked, I'm changing the subject. Someone was asking about the castle that you go to, Mark, and then she said, have you gone there as a remote viewing? That might be an idea.
Well, one of the things I just want to say to everybody, I don't really want to pinpoint exactly where I am in the world. So that's why I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Good idea. Stealth bombers and all that. Big triangle over the house. Oops.
I just believe that even if you're on YouTube, you do have a right to some level of privacy, right? Which is why I won't put my kids on camera and stuff like that. But the castles there's lots of. The question was about remote viewing that castle, right?
Yes.
Well,
maybe I should do one.
You should do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching an amazing remote viewing. I sent it out in the email list. Did everybody see that video from the guy?
I haven't watched the video, but I saw the link. Yeah.
He was extraordinary. But I kind of feel like we should be wrapping this up now, because it's been a great long session. I'm kind of, thank you everybody that came along, and thank you for everybody that's asked questions. And I'm sorry we've not answered everybody's in the chats necessarily.
I think they were happy to listen. It was good though. We got to as many questions.
Well, this is an experiment for me, because I've never done this.
Fun.
I really like.
It works really well though, doesn't it?
I love it. I think I might try that for YouTube.
Well, no, it's really interesting. And I quite like to try a live. When I saw the Charlie Freak one, I thought that's interesting. But 8 hours, it's a bit long.
8
Oh,
hours.
God. Yeah,
Who did
I was
8
on the
hours?
six
Who
and
did 8
six and a
hours?
half hours. No, it was about 6.5 hours. Yeah, I was
Whose
on there
that?
for Charlie Freak did one on election night, and I nearly died. I was on there for like 3 hours. Went and picked up my daughter, came back. They said, "Please come back on," and I'm like, "Oh fuck."
I mean, you know, that's a long night.
So it was like 6.5 hours. So then I made this really short video, and I just cut clips of some stuff that I talked about. So that was good.
Well, look, I
That's
just want
easier.
to say thanks to Juicy and Lucy as usual.
No, thanks for
Oh,
everybody.
thank you.
Thank you to our special guest, JC,
Thank you.
which is really nice. And everybody that came along, thank you. And anybody that tried to get in, I'm sorry that I couldn't let everybody in. It's just, Zoom says 25, so I'm sticking closely to that.
But try the juice, everybody. Honestly, make it, try it, do it, and then make a note of how you feel now, and then make a note of how you feel in literally 4 weeks' time, or even the next day.
Well, the next day, for me, it's the same.
And you're
the
putting
next day, it's instant, literally instant.
So
It's
you're putting the
unbelievable.
PDF. You're putting the PDF in the thing, right, Mark?
The PDFs are going to be under the video. But on that juicing thing, I think the juicing thing is also a really good, because I give it to my kids. It's a really good thing to, as a prevention tool, winter.
People are even giving it to the dogs as well.
Dogs, animals. They're using it for face cream. They're using it for
back cream. Yeah, like an ointment.
There's a thing. I'll let you know on that one. Yeah. Met bed in a bottle.
That was good.
It's so that I haven't read the whole PDF yet because I only read it about an hour before we started and put it up.
Yeah.
But no, thanks for putting those PDFs together, guys.
That's all right.
We've done part 3, and I think everybody also should go and get a copy of this book. Fraser.
Yeah. Any edition. It doesn't matter what edition it is.
Any edition.
Any edition.
I love books, and I tell you what, it's one of those.
There's quite a few online that you can have a look at.
Yeah, there's
quite a few different editions online.
I think I did ask who wrote it. Or is it,
it's funny enough, it's written by ex-vicars and reverends. Funny, isn't it? Yeah. So
and it's Brewers Publishers.
Brewers Publishers, which used to be the Brewers, the Monks, blah 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 blah. Yeah. So yeah, and
the monks, of course, made all the best beer in the world, which is where Brewer's Droop comes from, right?
Exactly. Wow. Yeah. Well, the thing is as well, the book I bought randomly enough was written by a bloke called Adrian Room. That's interesting. That's the book I have. It was done by a reverend, and it's done every 10 years. And then what they do is they change it. You can see the change in the change
words. They make
words.
slight changes of what words mean.
I'm definitely going to go find an old edition.
Yes.
Yeah. I love
it. You go online, you can
see lots. There's I can't remember what website it is, but there's one website has got lots of different versions.
Yeah.
Different,
and when it gives you a noun, go into the Oxford Dictionary of what that word means as a noun, and it would tell you the other bit of the story to put with that. It's like a fragmented story, and you put the two together, and it literally, you start building a story, and it reads as a story all the way through.
I'm gonna use that technique to try and write a poem.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah.
What are you gonna do, Mark? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna use what you just said as a technique for trying to write.
Yeah.
Well, I always open the book at a random page.
Yeah.
And whatever word jumps out.
Just a quickie. Remember Parsley years ago? Cartoon.
Parsley the Lion.
Parsley the Lion.
This is Lion. Everybody, it's a little cartoon in the 70s.
Cartoon. Parsley the Lion. He used to have a book, and we used to call it the Book of Bollocks. And he used to open the book. Yeah. Honestly, you watch anything, he used to open a book, and a word used to pop out, and then they used to talk about that word that used to pop out the book.
That's right. Yeah.
The magic book. Yeah.
I do that with books. I do that as a technique for predicting the future and stuff like that, or to ask a question. You can do that with anything, really.
Yeah, we used to do it, and we used to see the print lift off the page. The print used to separate, lift off, and then the word used to just pop out in the book, and then you take that word in, and then all of a sudden you just download everything and unpick it.
It's the same thing with tarot cards. You're doing the same thing. It's like a book. It's like a book, right? So you've got this is like a book, and you're opening it to. I can't. Sorry, just do it that way, right? So it's like a book. And you'll literally, sometimes I'll just hold them and not do anything and just think and then open it.
And then,
and then read that card with the thing that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
But after many years of going through Phrase and Fable, I got down to the point of everything begins with A. A day, a second, a minute, it's A. A is the start of everything. So it's not A. It's just a prefix. It's just a start point. And then literally I put it into the book because Phrase and Fable. I thought, what's Phrase and Fable actually mean? And then I think we've got it written down somewhere. You start with the A. So you start with the A point. So you basically in phrase you start with the A. So then as you put the end bit from the A in first, then the A back in. So it spells see, fear, and belief.
In Pidgin English.
In Pidgin English. See, fear, and belief. So basically you start with the A point. If you look at phrase, you spell it better than me.
So you mean like a
PR? Yeah, go on, you do it.
PHRASE. So if you start with the A, you've got the S and the E.
Put the A back in.
Then you put the A back in, and then you put the PH.
R.
So that's like
see, fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then
in Pidgin English.
In Pidgin English, yeah, and the thing is spells belief. See, fear, and belief.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the cover of the book.
Yeah. So if you do, so it spells. So if you decode it, it spells see, fear, and belief.
Ooh. Oh God.
Yeah. And that's when I went, wow, I finished the book now. And then obviously when we did that, the Abracadabra came, blah, 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 and everything else came.
Yeah, but this is, there's going to be some people watching this thinking this is just one of those conversations that stoners have at the end of the night.
When they're eating a kebab.
They're usually munching on something.
Yeah, they're usually munching. But you see, the thing is, the nice thing about it is we bought this back and it was like, wow. And actually, whatever you do with that calendar, it all lines up. It's mental. Because literally all you do is, you do as it says, is BC's before clock, AD is after dial. Yeah, so before time and after time, BC AD. It's as simple as that. Yeah, that is a dial code that dials over the top of each other. So basically you've got AD and the cross in the middle. So just do as it says, add a cross. So there's your cross, that's your prefix of your 11s. So your Abracadabra is 1111, so that gives you your V point. That gives you a cross, so that's where your cross comes from. Then just add across the clock. So you've got 7.
I honestly love your brain. Like it's just,
it's quite simple, really.
So make life interesting.
So all you're doing is balancing. So the pH of 11 is 5.5, which is 22, which is your 22, because it's half of 11, which is 5.5. And you spin that in a mirror because it's a sphere. It's 22. Yeah. So you just add a cross. So basically, you're 7 and you're 1. So he's 8, and then you go all the way around the clock and you add out the clock. Then you've got to subtract to balance the clock because you're pH in it. Yeah. So you just take the highest from the lowest. So you've got so basically, as you take your highest from the lowest, you take your 1 from your 8. Well, sorry, which is 7, and then you take your 7 from your 8, which is 1, and then your 1 from your 7, which is 6.
It's hard to keep up.
I'm exhausted now.
Patty's saying it's hard to keep up because we haven't got the visual in front of us. I think next time what we've got to do is we're going to
do the whole lot. I'm going to break the whole clock down
and do it bit by bit.
Bit by bit.
We're going to have to do a share screen. I think you're going to have to do a share screen.
Yeah, I mean, loads of people have messaged saying, the clarity of the first image was not quite enough for them, and I think we do need to go into it in a little bit more. Yeah, break it down a little bit more simply.
It's hard to take a photo when the energy is booming out of it. That's why it goes thingy. Whatever you do with the photo, it blurs. Because the energy coming out.
Computer rendering of it or something.
Yeah.
I could do a really artistic version for you if you like.
That'd be beautiful. What we want to do as well, I mean, we'll probably do, because your friend sent the copy which fits over the top of that. And it locks into the center with the 7s. The X in the middle, it locks together. I mean, we haven't got it all yet, but it'd be nice if sometime if we can get it into some sort of computer and to see how it actually works.
Well, I have a designer, really good designer in Australia, working on that.
Yeah,
Keith. So I'm expecting that from him pretty soon. So well, obviously, episode 4 we've got stuff to go into. So I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you again to everybody. We've already done the thank yous, but really,
thank you.
Really just a little experiment getting this group, and thanks again, JC, for giving up your early morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And thanks for everyone for around. We'll say goodbye. Thank you.
Hmm.